ya kujaza mifuko yake ambaye afadhali mzee ambaye ni mtulivu, ambaye hana haja ya kujaza mifuko yake, ambaye atachunga masilahi ya watu yake badala ya mdomo tamtamu 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 tamtamu. Lakini akiingia ni wale wa kufanya moja yako, nusu ya mwananchi, mbili yako na tano yangu. Na mnawajua nyinyi mna.
Mimi naona hii maendeleo, anasema iko maendeleo, hakuna maendeleo. Maendeleo ya nini? Ya matope. Maendeleo ya matope kama maya.
Kwenda kabisa, wani lazima. Enda, tera zuende.
Wakenda mkoja anasiezi karanga uwe hae magala magala, niko tayari kulipa gharama, nitasimama maovu ya kitawala, nitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ukizani ubinafsi ukabila,
tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye Sound Candy Talk. Tukutane Sound Candy Talk.
Sisi vile sio wote ambao wanataka ugomvi kwa sababu ya ugomvi.
Niwaambia nyinyi ni wajinga mkimfuata Ruto. Mkadhani tunawadanganya.
Jeti ya Ruto. Hii maisha ya Ruto ni stress na ni stress.
Mungu, wewe umetukosea.
Sasa tumesema siku ya Jumatano. Mko tayari? Mko tayari? Tumesema sisi si majambazi.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candid Talk, Open Forum Political Discussion Show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, as we get into our Independence Week, I believe it is important for us to reflect on what became of the Kenya our founding fathers dreamed of, now that we are 60 years after independence. How far are we measuring from the dreams of our founding fathers? Did we deviate from the path? What went wrong with Kenya? How come we are still bedeviling what our founding fathers started bedeviling 60 years ago? I call upon you and your conscience to look into this keenly, even as we will give this a period of time until the Independence Day, as we talk like Kenyans. I appeal to you to sober up. Let's forget about our political differences for now, and probably our religious differences, and look critically on this country. What is wrong with it? What must we do to fix it? We can't get it wrong for 60 years and get it right by continuing to do what we have done for 60 long years. The Kenyans of goodwill, I call upon you to be alert on this matter, and please, let's focus, let's devote ourselves, and for all we can do, tell each other the truth. Because this masking of ourselves and pretending is not helping. This country is in a mess and it needs to be fixed. Rhetoric will not help. Flowery speeches will not help. Political gimmicks have not helped. I believe we have reached that moment of truth. I call upon you to be part of this conversation. Please make sure you invite somebody from wherever you are. Remind them Sound Candid Talk, open forum political discussion show is on. We are ready to face it. My senior in the faith, Dr. Maurice Cerulo, used to use the phrase, it is time for the church to get the mask off. I think it is time for this country to get their mask off. Let's face it. Probably we may just end up with a solution. Asante sana mahala pote ulipo, na kuomba tafadhali karibisha mtu. Tumakinike pamoja tunapoangazia masuala ya nchi hii, siasa zake na suluhisho ya matatizo yetu. Kenya at 60, reflecting on challenges and solution, a call to save our nation. I salute those of you that are joining. Please, let's be on the forefront of inviting each other. It appears some people are locked up somewhere else. Let's all gang up. Let's all come together. Let's all line up and speak out on all we must speak out. It is time for the moment of truth in this great nation. Our poll question tonight is a bit different from what we are used to. And it's asking a question that will require you to think deeply and probably apply some of your historical knowledge in judging the outcome. Well, we are asking you, would Kenya have done better under Jaramogi Oginga Odinga than Jomo Kenyatta? Well, I need you to say yes or no. Well, on Sound Candid Talk Live, 2 votes already cast, all of them in favor of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. It says, if Jaramogi Oginga Odinga became the first president of this great country, it would have done better than what Jomo Kenyatta brought about. On Sound Candy Talk, the other channel, we are asking the same question: would Kenya have done better under Jaramogi Oginga Odinga than Jomo Kenyatta? 82% say yes, 18% say no. 11 votes already cast. Please, let's be on the forefront. Like the video, participate fully, and make sure that you don't watch alone. Let's engage, let's talk, let's tell each other the truth. And I'm calling on the veterans, okay, the veterans to come forth and tell us, especially those of you that are very much conversant with the accurate history of this country. You know that we have two or several episodes of the history of this country. Some of it are twisted, and there is the accurate history. So those of you that are acquainted with the accurate history would want you to be part of this great conversation by bringing us up to speed. Please tell us, at independence, there was the Jaramogi Odinga ideology, and then the Jomo Kenyatta ideology. What went wrong? What brought about the fallout? What brought about not yet Uhuru, that particular book, and then of course the walking away of Jaramogi from vice presidents, and what would have been different if Jaramogi stayed all through. Karibu sana, nashukuru kila moja. Mato Makndets, we salute you. Asante kwa kuosha studio. Basi tushaingia. Anasema we need a new Madaraka robot or start the computer called Kenya before auctioneers. Before auctioneers, Akayo sells Uhuru Gardens, where Kenya celebrated independence. God have mercy on us. Esther Stoll, karibu kwa show. Felistas Atideke, we salute you. Welcome to the show. Charles Green, we salute you. Sema Kenya Airways announces flight interruptions for 2 weeks over spare parts challenge. Everything falling apart with Kenya Kwisha government. Oh my God, have mercy. Well, Tuni Mohamud, our own permanent secretary, karibu sana. Tunashukuru kwa kuwa pamoja usiku wa leo. Asante sana. Shadrack Kanu, good evening to you. Welcome to the show. Freedom, karibu sana. We salute you. Welcome to the show. Kuna Mohamed Ege, karibu sana. Simba Omar Said, karibu sana. Oh God, sawa sawa basi. Christine Mukami, karibu kwa show. Angela Wamboi, asante sana. Naomba tafadhali tukaribishane na hisi kuna wale ambao wamevunjwa moyo kwa Kenya kupoteza Sekafa to Yoweri Museveni, lakini mambo huenda hivyo. Tukue mstari wa mbele kutetea nchi hii. Cha muhimu ni sisi tuko hapa na tuko tayari kujadiliana kwa kina. Tumia hii link, ingia studio ukaseme ya kwako. Ningependa haswa wakongwe kabisa waje hapa watuambie mambo haya. Tungependa kuelewa hii nchi ingekuwa bora kama Jaramogi angechukua urais na kusaidia Jomo Kenyatta baadaye, ama kulikwendaje? Was it destiny? And if it was destiny, what did we miss? What did we get? And where we are now, is it a reflection of really a working nation for 60 years? Or are we still behind? And why are we behind? Karibu sana. Nashukuru kila moja. Tumia hiyo link, ingia studio tukajadili masuala haya kwa kina. Naamini kwamba una ujumbe kwa ajili ya Wakenya na Wakenya wanasubiri kukusikiza. Naomba namba ya watazamaji ipande tafadhali. Chukua hiyo link, share kwa WhatsApp, share kwa Facebook. I need that number to get to 100 and above. We are stuck here for too long. You need to move, please. On the forefront, call in everybody. Remind them we are here. They cannot tire. They cannot surrender now. They must stay in the fight until the better Kenya is realized by reason of all of us. Thank you so much. Namona engineer. Engineer, are you on the wheels?
Niko kwa gari, but I'm stopped a little bit out here at this park because I heard your question.
Karibu, jibu swali moja kwa moja kabla uondoke.
That's a very hard question. I actually did answer yes, but then again, we have to think about the ideologies, like you said, of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, and would he have stayed on the ideology? Because we remember that we got our independence wakati wa Cold War, when the Cold War started. And there was a lot of ideologies, either was West or following the NATO and the West, or the Warsaw Pact, which was under the Soviet Union, which was using at that time communism, and the West, of course, stands for democracy and capitalism. Now, it is kind of hard to really answer that question, because we know very well that some of the countries that embraced communism, like Soviet Union itself, it reached a point where it collapsed. Tuseme pengine Mwalimu Nyerere he followed a little bit tuseme your socialism, communism, and Tanzania, except now, has not really been doing well. I believe in a mixed economy, because there is no pure capitalist economy, even hapa kwa US ambapo tuko. There's a lot of programs that are actually that come for the common good. And then again, there are also things that you want competition. And that is why this country is as powerful as it is, because it allows competition. But also there are some things that they feel that it's for the common good, and that everybody should come together and work together. China was a communist country, but back in the late 1970s, they decided to have reforms to not totally walk away from communism, but they allowed reforms which allowed them to allow businesses to grow, and a little bit of competition. Ijapokuwa vile wamefanya, and why they are so successful, is that they have these state-run corporations that compete in the world, in the global market, as if they are major corporations from like over here in the US. And that really has helped them in the last 40 years to be able to be where they are. And now, right now, there is actually a realignment again. Na nimekuwa nimekisikia mjadala wa BRICS and getting away from the Western foreign currency, because of all the loans that we owe a lot of these countries that borrowed money from IMF and World Bank, which they borrow this money either and pay back in either the dollars or the euros. And there is this talk about going with BRICS, which BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and I think S is the South Africa. But it used to be BRIC. And the person that came up with that was actually an investor here from the US that came with an idea that now that the Cold War has ended and there's all these structural adjustment programs being put in there, why don't we then have these other countries that were under the East? Why don't we also invest in them? And because they are growing, actually they were growing faster than even the countries in the West. And that's where you see now China has been where it is at, although right now the statistics are showing that the economy is actually slowing down because of the effects of COVID. And actually it's also affecting the United States, except right now, nilikuwa naangalia the other day, now you know that the oil market has stagnated. And normally the crude oil prices normally go up during when it's winter over here because of the consumption of, for heating the stuff, heating everything over here, the households and the industries that we have, the factories that we have and all that. But that demand is still there. But the United States has increased the production of oil. That has caused, even though the OPEC is actually restricting that. Kwa hivyo sasa ningetaka kusema kama Jaramogi angeenda achukue a mix, achukue zile nzuri kutoka West na achukue mzuri kutoka the East, we would be very, very far. And I'm assuming that that is what he would have done. And that's why I said yes. And we actually see what we see what really happened when Jomo Kenyatta took over, and there was a lot of assassinations because it reached a point where now Jomo Kenyatta would not be able to listen to the opposing side for different ideas. And people around him started now pushing other people aside. Knowing Baba, who is the son of Jaramogi Odinga, and how he is, and the way he has been able to help a lot of people, and actually with the second liberation, he is the one that fought for it, even getting Uhuru as Kibaki as president. He is the one that actually helped that by saying Kibaki Tosha. And we see what happened during that first time. Kenya was able to go really far. So I would say yes, if only he was able to get the good side, the goods, to stay as a non-aligned country like Switzerland. Switzerland did very well. They did not support any side. And because we know the problem with the countries that followed the West, we grew all these dictators. And they took all the money and put in the pocket, which we are dealing with now. Hata sasa na hii serikali ambayo tuko nayo na hata zile tumekuwa nazo before, there is that thing of the dictators taking the money, put in their own pocket, and very little goes to help the public. So kwa hivyo ningesema tu hivyo, alafu tuone ni nini. Asante sana Bwana Banda.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kariuki, for that good start and a wide range of looking at the issues. But I would want to throw this to you. Jaramogi was more social democratic guy. That is, and then from the African traditional setting, where we were interrupted by colonialism, we were all social, were communal in our operations. Like the Luya was not a tribe. The Luya was a baraza, where all matters concerning the community were discussed. So when the Mzungu so that these people all meet in that baraza they call Luya. They call us Luyas. So we noticed that each community had its own leadership structure, and they had their way of sorting out their conflict and all that. Now, Jaramogi being organic, I would say, and having been within this social fabric, with now his social push, socialistic push as opposed to capitalism, would he have navigated Kenya into a better coherent country than what Jomo Kenyatta did? Would we be having a country called Kenya like Tanzania? Meaning that Mwalimu Nyerere succeeded in creating a country called Tanzania, where Tanzanians are interacting with one another, believe in each other, defend each other, as opposed to in Kenya, where we disintegrate everybody in his own tribal cocoon and begin to push his tribal agenda and forget about Kenya. We'll think about Kenya after we have finished killing every other tribe. I mean, so that's my argument. The exposure of Jomo Kenyatta and the capitalism of Jomo Kenyatta. Let's forget about the insecurity. We'll deal with the insecurity of Jomo Kenyatta because he was insecure, no doubt. And his background also has question marks that contributed to his insecurity, which brought about the unnecessary elimination of anybody who had a dissenting voice. But just on the premise of the political ideologies and the social indicators, putting in consideration not yet Uhuru, okay? Not yet Uhuru comes just 3 years after independence. What is this that informed not yet Uhuru, and what was he protesting against? Is it that Jomo Kenyatta had brought back the Mzungu way of divide and rule, or what is it that Jaramogi was protesting against, and was he right in the protest? Looking 50 years down the road, have we succeeded without heeding to not yet Uhuru? Engineer, back to you.
Very, very interesting, very interesting. And well, let me say that to some kama Tanzania, yes, I agree with you that the way Nyerere put Tanzania and the way it is, and now why it's going to take off very, very fast, is because everybody works together na hakuna nini mambo ya ukabila na nini. And so, but at this time, but I'm wondering what had made Tanzania not to be economically advanced than Kenya up to now. That this is the time that the economy is really growing faster than Kenya. What do you think? That's where I'm having a little bit of the
Tanzania. I
yes,
think the only challenge of Tanzania was, let me just throw this in, the language barrier. The language barrier. If there is a mistake that Mwalimu Nyerere did, although probably he didn't have choice, in being able to control the vast variety of Tanzania, I had to bring them into one language, which was Swahili. And Swahili was not international. So it was kind of cut off from the rest of the world. And there is, I would say, little external influence within the country. And it's now coming in later, when now they opened up, started English schools, French schools, and now the generation that is on right now is not the original generation that Nyerere put in the doctrine of Swahili, if I would use that. And so with that, she has now exposed herself, and she's now ready to take off. And that's why Kenya cannot even pride herself for her knowing English. Now English is known everywhere.
that's I like that your analysis on that, and so hii swali ni ngumu sana, ni ngumu sana kwa sababu, but the character of Baba, who takes over, from his dad, I think I would say yes, that Jaramogi was, kwa sababu tunajua vile ilifanyika, ni Jaramogi ndiye alisema hebu tupatie Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta to be president, kwa sababu amekuwa kwa jela, which was really he was not selfish. He gave up that particular leadership so that Jomo Kenyatta would be president. Alafu then umesema juu yake kuwa so insecure and the people around him. Sasa akawa, he turned out to be the way he turned out to be. Even though, let me say that by the time he was coming close to the end of, by the time he died, I think he had already seen what was going on around him. So very, very interesting, and I'd like to hear what everybody will say today. It's pretty interesting.
Sawa sawa, asante sana engineer. Nashukuru kila mmoja, tafadhali tumakinike kukaribishana. Hiyo namba ya watazamaji imekwama. Naomba tafadhali tukaribishane, tuangazie masuala yako kwa kina. I know some of us are allergic to history, but I think we need to know this. It is important. It will help us navigate from where we are, because we are stuck as a nation, and what we are doing is digging ourselves into a further hole that we may never come out of until we are able to confront the ghosts that follow us from our past and be able to put a stop to them so that they can let us move to the next level. So karibu sana, tumia hiyo link, ingia studio, na hakikisha pia unafanya nini, unajibu swali letu la poll. Tunauliza, would Kenya have done better under Jaramogi Oginga Odinga than Jomo Kenyatta? On Sound Candy Talk Live, 4 votes already, all of them in favor of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. I said yes, Kenya would be better off under Jaramogi than Jomo Kenyatta. On Sound Candy Talk main channel, 30 votes already, and of the 30 votes, 90% say yes, 10% say no. Karibu kila moja, na likes the video pia tafadhali tuweke mstari wa mbele tumakinike. Let's bring in Reverend Lala to weigh on this. I'm sure he's an old-timer. He will help us see more light. Karibu sana.
Asante Bernard, asante ndugu Karaoke. It's good to be here and to join you guys. I know there are others in the back, and I'm so glad to know that you guys are there supporting this channel. I just wanted to, I think ndugu Karaoke asked why Tanzania did not, set off at the time. But there's some few other things that I want to highlight here. At independence, Tanzania had only 26 college graduates, only 26. And it's kind of strange that I'm getting this fact in some of the lectures here in the West, only 26. So in other words, colonizers were not interested in the Tanzanians going to school. They were there to, the Germans, I think, were interested in the land, just like the French, and the resources, like the British. And so development was not readily available at the time because the colonizers were not interested. Secondly, Tanzania was trying to play a non-aligned. They were neither communists, they were not capitalists, they were kind of socialist, of African socialism, which did not make sense to the finances of that time. Kenya was in the good books, and so they were able to benefit a lot from investment from outside. And so Tanzania was, I think the West wanted it to fail. So it didn't have many supporters at that time from the Western world, which was at that time had a lot of influence in the region. So there was a sabotage. Secondly, they were not given, that head start. So Nyerere was working against the odds to try to create a nation, but thank God, politically and socially, he was able to create, what we now have, which is an envy of the region in terms of watu ni pamoja, wako pamoja, wanapendana, ni wandugu, hakuna Mjaluo, hakuna Gikuyu kule, sisi ni Watanzania, and that gives them a good footing. Secondly, they are doing better because Tanzania did not have a lot of debt. And also the land policy was pretty good. If Kenya do not know, that it's actually more expensive to buy land in Kenya than in the US. So that tells you it's very difficult to create a very competitive, business in the region, because others can make it cheaper. And Kenya, we have to spend so much for us to be able to create what others can just do with very little. So we are at a disadvantage in that sense. Finally, I want to comment on Kenyatta. Kenyatta, before independence, was actually feared because they thought of him as the communist, which is really, if you read the history a little bit, realize he was actually more for Russia than anything else. The new Kenyatta that became the president and turned to the West was not really trusted by the West because they thought he was communist. Odinga, the father, of course, was aligned toward the Chinese, but at the same time, Nyerere kind of policies which were also not very favored by the West, because remember, the West were the colonizers, so they still controlled the resources at that time, and even now it's very difficult to change and shift to a different. Even with the Chinese, no matter how much Chinese influence in Kenya, it's kind of difficult to shift to their side completely, and so it takes a long time. So I think that's my little comment on the debates. My phone is almost going, so I'll come back shortly. Okay.
Okay. So thank you, Reverend, for that. We appreciate it. Fix your phone and get back. We need you and the rest of the crew. Let's be here. Nani, you Gideon and Asema, the question is blank. Just refresh your gadget. Refresh your gadget. The question cannot be blank. Let me just refresh from this end to confirm that my refreshing is really working. Okay. Na tuendelee kukaribishana. Yes, after refreshing, what do I have here? Okay, one moment. Okay, there we go. The question is still, would Kenya have done better under Jaramogi Oginga Odinga than Jomo Kenyatta? That is at independence. on this particular channel, 36 votes already cast. 89% of those votes say yes, and the 11% say no. That meaning that Jaramogi will have done better than Jaramogi will have done better than Jomo Kenyatta. The majority of the voters think so. That also goes for on Sound Candy Talk Live. Huku hakuna wapiga kura wengi, but wote wale wamepiga huku wamesema yes, hakuna mtu wa no huku. Nashukuru kwa kila mmoja, naomba tafadhali. So if you don't see the question, refresh your browser, it will be able to come up. I understand the people following on the phone have a challenge seeing the question. It's usually like that. You may need to restart your gadget and probably try to get to that particular link. And let me just share the link so that you will be able to access without much problem, so that when you click to the video, it will take you to the question first before you see the video itself. So here we go. And then we urge you to be a subscriber to both our channels. Don't subscribe to one and think you have reached. No. You need to subscribe to both channels, Sound Candy Talk and Sound Candy Talk Live. It's important. When we're having a rainy day, we'll always have somewhere to hide or rather be able to continue with the broadcast. So as we take a short commercial break, be on the forefront. Karibisha mtu, kumbusha mtu, tumakinike pamoja tunapoendelea na kipindi. Thank you very much.
Anybody will tell you there are only 4 things in the world that a government needs to address seriously. The first thing is food. You must keep food away from the control of the ordinary fluctuations of prices on world markets, on the open markets. Number 2, you must control the cost of health. Number 3, you must control the cost of education. Number 4, you must control the cost of transport. William Ruto, I think, is empty. This head is empty in terms of what are the existential threats that face the black people, that face Africans. He swallowed the issues of the white man, the way they are packaged. He doesn't understand crony capitalism, how it works. So he has now become an agent of the West to destroy an African state. When they elected him, there was nowhere in his manifesto where he said that the IMF and the World Bank are going to govern Kenya when he gets into office. He promised to govern this country, but he's destroying it. Everything is crumbling in 1 year. It's not acceptable. We're going to get a point whereby he can be impeached if he doesn't change course and begin doing things that benefit this country, not to benefit the Western powers, not to benefit the World Bank. Right now he wants to sell the assets. These assets, some of them were put up before he was born. Now he wants to come and sell them. What will the future generations have as a state? Those who run the government in future, what will they rely on to run this government?
Sasa baba, tupatie direction. Tupatie direction leo. Utuambie kama ni kurudi kwa barabara, tuanzie kesho.
Murkomen iko ndani. Faruki Ben iko ndani. Ati Adam Duale iko wapi? Ala, wewe Duale, tunakuambia hapa group, rudisha pesa ya NYS. Hiyo pesa si ya mama yako. Hiyo pesa si ya...
Nice idea, but it won't help. It'll just formalize the reality that poor countries can never repay their loans.
Senator, are you saying that you're opposed to debt relief for impoverished countries?
No, we should forgive the debts, but that's not going to help those countries very much.
Okay. What will?
Tax cuts. Some African tax rates are the highest in the world. In Tanzania, the 30% rate kicks in at $475 of income. Plus, they have a 20% value-added tax. It gets added to everything you buy. Those high tax rates make it impossible to build capital in those countries. So nothing gets built, not factories, not roads, not anything. Poor African countries have the lowest wage workers in the world. And yet a company like Nike, for instance, can't put a factory in one of those countries because of the oppressive tax rates. Taxes have killed any possibility of economic development. They've killed any hope of these countries ever helping themselves. And that leaves them completely at the mercy of charity and loans. And here's the worst part. You know why those countries have such high tax rates? Because of us. To show us that they can raise enough money to pay back their loans. But taxes can't raise any money if they kill the economies. So it turns out that the tragic, unintended consequence of our good intentions toward Africa, our kindness, is that we have encouraged those countries to lock themselves into a gruesome economic depression. If we don't urge those countries to cut their tax rates, they will never grow their economies. People will live lifetimes of unemployment. Disease will be rampant. Poverty will be permanent. And children will be hungry. And our charity will never be enough. Never.
Yes, engineer. You on the move?
Yeah, although he did reference Tanzania, and I actually remember Mama Suluhu akiambia watu ambao wanachukua ushuru kutoka Tanzania to be easy to watu, and in comparison to what we are doing in Kenya, instead of ya kupunguza ushuru, wanaongeza ushuru. Na ile shinda kubwa ambayo imetukumba ni hata tukiongeza ushuru, pesa zile ambazo zinatolewa kwa ushuru hazitumiwi, kama vile tulikuwa tumeangalia zile the figures that you had put on data point yesterday. And domestic borrowing, which probably also increases which includes also the taxes, is coming to almost about 500 billion Kenya shillings. Na sasa hatuwezi kulipa watu wafanyikazi. Pesa hizo zimeenda wapi? That's the biggest question. Yani mnaongeza ushuru alafu hamna pesa za kulipia mambo ya ile ambayo ushuru inatumiwa for that. Alafu kuomba pesa, the external loans, hakuna maendeleo inaonekana. I'm happy that the guy that spoke over there, he was talking about hii mambo ya kusaidiwa na watu from the West, which is happening now, is that we are borrowing a lot of money from IMF and World Bank and all that, which are actually, they are business entities. These are business entities, even though governments do also contribute money to it. But they're business entities. And they could care less how you're going to use your money. Because wanapatia, it's a responsibility of the country. regardless of who the president is. And a lot of times they don't look even what you're doing with that money. And that is where the big tragedy iko. Ndio ninakuwa nikisema, maybe we need to find a way of how we can write to them to see if they can even delay some of this. Kwa sababu Kenya ikienda into default is going to delay them getting paid. So that's interesting. Going back to the point ambayo today's topic, and I'm glad Lala did expand a little bit about the issue about Tanzania. And actually what he said is actually true. Mashamba hapa, they are not really expensive. Unaweza kupata ekari kama moja, unaweza kupata for even $5,000. $5,000 ni kitu maybe 600,000 Kenya shillings kwa ekari moja. Karibu na this, karibu na mji kama huu. I'm in Memphis right now. And you can also find even an acre on the higher side, pengine 2 million an acre close to the city. So ukiangalia kama Nairobi, I think pale juu, juu ya Uhuru Park, I heard that 1 acre huko, it costs more than even how much it costs in Manhattan, New York, which we know that is where a lot of big, there's a lot of big companies that have, that have buildings over there and all that. So, lakini mashamba katika Tanzania, kama vile Bwana Leverett amesema, the cost of it is lower. There's every now and then I've been thinking about pengine kwenda kutafuta shamba huko ya kulease, ya kuproduce something to sell to Kenya. There's a lot of Kenyans actually that have done that, ambao wameenda huko na kule chini karibu Malawi, by the border, kuna mashamba kubwa sana huko ambayo unaweza kulease and be able to grow maize, ama unakuza kitu ingine, alafu unaweza kuuza nje, ama kuuza tu huko and all that. But in Kenya tuko na shida kubwa sana ya the cost of land is very, very high. It's highly inflated. So na tena alikuwa amesema ati there were very few people that were educated in Tanzania, and I'm thinking that by now I think there's a lot of people that the level of education is almost comparable now to ours, and that is why I think they're doing better. Nilikuwa nasikia ati walikuwa wanasomesha masomo yao na Kiswahili. Sasa kama sisi ambao tumefanya mambo ya engineering, you just wonder how you're going to express yourself in Swahili. Some of these terminologies are scientific. It becomes difficult. So by them having changed the language of instruction, I think that has helped them a lot. Na kwa hivyo, I still, continue on with my reiteration that kama Jaramogi angekuwa rais na aende na hiyo mambo ya, to get the good from both sides, because I think that's what he would have done. He would have picked up what was good on the West and what was good in the East. I think we could have done very well. We could, as a matter of fact, walikuwa nasema ati, I've been reading that our economy was actually doing better than those giants in the East, akina Singapore, na South Korea. So I think, I agree with a lot of people here that, yeah, pengine Jaramogi angefanya better than Jomo Kenyatta. Asante.
Okay, asante sana engineer, tunashukuru kwa hayo. Nashukuru kila mmoja, tafadhali tusonge mbele. Nashukuru kwa wale ambao mnaendelea kukaribisha watu, tukaribishane, tujifunze pamoja, na ni muhimu tuangazie masuala haya jinsi yalivyo. I would also want to believe that Jaramogi had the same ideology with people like James Kariuki, the Gamapindo, the people that were for equity and not segregation, wanted the wealth to be shared to everybody and everybody to be given equal access. If that was the approach from the beginning of this great nation, then the gap between the rich and the poor would not be as wide as it is today. And that probably could have just brought about the exponential expansion and growth of this country to a height that probably will be the same as Kina Singapore and Korea, because Kenyans are resilient people. All they need is a catalyst and a leadership that tells them that they can make it, and they are given reason why they should work. I'm sure in 10 years or 20 years, if we had that kind of foundation, we would not be where we are right now. 60 years later, still fighting with disease, ignorance, and what else? God knows. Thank you, everybody. As we continue the conversation, please tukaribishane, like video, piga kura yako, alafu tusonge mbele. Na kwa mstari wa mbele kuingia studio mapema, ukaseme ya kwako. Usingoje wakati mimi nafungasha, ndio unakuja kunifungia hapa. Mimi nitakuacha. So tafadhali tumakinike. Asante sana. Nashukuru kumuona Alex. Alex, how are you? Long time no see. You are in the dark, just switch off the camera and talk. Alex, can you get me?
How are you?
Great, great. Karibu, karibu.
Yeah, so nimekuwa nikisikiliza show from far. Karaoke, how are you? Mnanisikia?
Yes, we can get you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sure. Bernard, what's the topic today?
We are looking at Kenya at 60, reflecting on the challenges and the solutions thereof, and a call to save our nation. That is the focus. And the big question we're asking is, would Kenya have done better under Jaramogi Oginga Odinga than Jomo Kenyatta?
Obviously, Kenya would have done better because this man, Oginga Odinga, as you look at him, is an intellectual, and as you look at him, Oginga Odinga has subjected himself into something that no Kenyan has manifested himself. Ukiangalia huyu jamaa, you know, I admire him. Personally, I was a friend to Fidel Odinga. As I've told you many times. And Fidel was one person that was an intellectual, and many people did not understand it. So I think, in my estimation, he would have done better than any other person. And he has an intellectual ambayo siwezi elekeza. Yeah.
Okay, if I could throw in a question, Alex, you are saying that there is an understanding of Kenya that Jomo Kenyatta, that Jaramogi Oginga Odinga had, that Jomo Kenyatta could have missed in actualizing the dreams of realizing a progressive Kenya, if not a developed Kenya.
No, ukiangalia vizuri, Raila as a person, and we all can agree, Raila ni mtu ambaye ukimwangalia ubongo yake, Bernard, is so refined. Even he have outsmarted every other president. Ukiangalia Moi alimoutsmart. Ukiangalia Kibaki alimoutsmart. Ukiangalia Uhuru alimoutsmart. You know, there is no way you can figure out how this man outsmarted all the presidents. I don't know how you figure it out. Ebu niambie how you figure it out. Bernard.
Yeah, I get you. Thank you. It said experience is the best teacher, and a student is as good as his teacher in terms of what Jesus said, that a student is not better than his teacher. Jaramogi family seem to have had a very good hands-on in terms of grooming his heirs. I think when it appeared clearly to him that he may not succeed in making it to the presidency, he poured himself into his sons and ensured that whatever he could not attain, his sons will attain.
Bernard,
And
even
then, of course,
anaitwa nani? Even anaitwa nani alisema it was unfortunate that Raila did not make it to the presidency. And he said that Raila should have been one of the best presidents in Kenya. And I agree to that because not because I'm a fanatic of Raila, but if you look at Raila, the way he behaves, hata kama hii speech ya leo amepeana national address, did you listen to that speech? this man is so patriotic to the is so patriotic, and like today he made a speech that when I listen to it, I think I like him. Yes.
All right, thank you. And Alex, you seem to be bringing us too fast to Raila Odinga. I wanted us to join the footsteps that brought Kenya to where it is in terms of the decisions made at independence. And that's why we are asking the question, would Jaramogi have made a better president than Jomo Kenyatta in terms of being the first founding father of the nation? And what made Jaramogi, what would have made Jaramogi a better success than Jomo Kenyatta? And what made Jomo Kenyatta a failure in terms of attaining to the place of succeeding to make Kenya a nation? Because until now, we are still struggling to be a nation. 60 years of independence. Is it that we did not embrace our history rightly? We did not have a right footing in the start? And why didn't we do the right thing at the beginning?
You know, Bernard, when you look at the historicity of Kenya, when Moi died, one of the things Raila said was, Kenya has established itself to be a proximity of ignorance. And when we look at Kenya today, we apologize to Kenyans that we are sorry for what it has become. Yes.
Exactly. And the very reason why we are engaged into finding a lasting solution to all this, because what our forefathers wanted to give us, they did not succeed to give us. We seem to be fighting for the same thing they fought for 60 years later. I even wonder what reason will Kenyans have to go to whatever stadium for them Jamhuri Day celebrations? What will be there to be celebrated in view of what Zakayo and team are doing to this country, raping it and I mean, not placing value, especially on its assets? How in the world would you wake up and say you want to sell a monument like KICC, you want to sell Kenya Pipeline, you want to sell Kenya Literature Bureau? Would you be, I mean, are you patriotic in any way, or you're just a dealer who found something that your father left and you want to convert it into shillings for your eating?
So Bernard, hii nchi yetu hata sielewi sahi. Ukiona how Ruto became a president, I just wonder, this man is ignomatic. And when you look how he became the president, we wonder the Bomas event. Yes.
All right, Alex, we'll let's take a short commercial break and come back. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue the conversation, we are calling upon you to get into the studio and say what you wish to say. Olele TV hapa anasema Jaramogi made a big mistake to himself and to the minority tribes by giving the presidents to tribalist Jomo Kenyatta. Kuja polepole Olele. It wasn't a mistake per se. It was, I think it was out of courtesy, number one. Number two, you just never know. You just never know. I maybe after the break, I'll be talking about the insecurities of Jaramogi that led to his handing over the president to Jomo Kenyatta. And then, of course, the insecurities of Jomo Kenyatta that led him into eliminating people that I believe God had sent to help him manage and run this country to the fastest way to progress. He lost the vision of the country, started to amass things for himself, and of course, ended up messing whatever that was to be a glorious reality of our great nation. So I want us to watch this video, and then we go back into the conversation. So let's remain focused. Let's keep doing what we must do. Ensure that we have to okay. Let me bring in the video so that we watch it and then learn all we must learn. But in the meantime, I really want us to be on the forefront of making this country work by rejecting what is evil and embracing what is right. Okay, here we go. I think let's bring this in fast.
Your Excellency, let me tell you a story. And I was told when I was Minister for Roads and Public Works in my other early incarnation. This is a minister from Nigeria for Roads and Public Works who went on a tour to Malaysia. There, on invitation. So he was taken by his host, taken around the country, shown the highways that they have constructed in Malaysia. And then in the evening, he was treated to dinner at the residence of that minister. There, he found a nice mansion, a swimming pool, and nice sofa sets, and dinner sets. So at dinner, so he asked his host, how did you manage this house? The host took him to the balcony and showed him, look yonder. Do you see that highway there? Yes, 10%. 2 years later, it was the turn of the Malaysian to pay a return visit. When he went to Nigeria, he was taken around the roads. You saw roads were potholed, some of them untarmacked, and very poor condition, very poor state of affairs. In the evening, he was taken to dinner, and he found a palatial mansion, Olympic-sized swimming pool. The sofa sets were imported from Britain. Most of the china were golden. So he asked his host, how do you achieve all this? He took him to the balcony. And so, do you see that highway there? The Malaysian could see nothing. He was told 100% here.
I never tired to hear that story. And God help us. Alex, unaingia na gadgets mbili. What's happening? Okay. Alex, are you there?
That's my man.
Sorry? Okay, one moment. Ladies and gentlemen, tuendelee kukaribishana na hakikisha huko mstari wa mbele kutekeleza wajibu wako. We must do what we must do to save our country completely. Alex, you cannot join the show with two different gadgets or the same gadget. And then, of course, we are also looking for those predators. So please indicate it is you, because there are those predators who would want to come and mess up our show by bringing their crooked stuff here. Let's quickly take this and then we return and continue with the Reverend Love.
Sisi vile vile sio wote ambao wanataka ugomvi kwa sababu ya ugomvi.
Niwaambia nyinyi ni wajinga mkimfuata Ruto. Mkadhani tunawadanganya.
Jeti ya Ruto. Hii maisha ya Ruto ni stress na ni stress.
Mungu wewe umetukosea.
Sasa tumesema siku ya Jumatano. Uko tayari? Uko tayari? Tumesema sisi si majambazi.
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Reverend Lala, I hope you're there. We are still in the conversation looking at what were the factors that contributed to Jaramogi handing over the presidency, Jomo Kenyatta. In my understanding, or in my opinion, Jaramogi, although he was leading, he did not have a national appeal like Jomo Kenyatta did. And the troubles, or what, the tribulations that Jomo Kenyatta was having with those arrests and all that had a way of putting him on the lips and on the minds of the majority of Kenyans. And so probably Jaramogi felt that if he took over the leadership, he would soon experience a rebellion, and the rebellion will be vast because Jomo Kenyatta seemed to have a more national appeal, and Jaramogi wanted or rather a single and indivisible Kenya, other than having a segmented Kenya. And unknowingly to him, he didn't appreciate the side of Jomo Kenyatta that would want to benefit from a divided Kenya other than an indivisible Kenya. What is your take?
Bernard, I agree with you to some extent. I don't think Jaramogi lacked that international stature to have taken over the government. But I think I agree with you the fact that Kenyatta had been there and was seen as a leader that was most seasoned in the sense that he was acceptable for the fact that he was in the Mau Mau, and also he had been outside the country. And so for the national unity, I believe Jaramogi as a Democrat did not want to create a situation where a young country is divided, two people fighting against itself. So in terms of competency, no, I think he was competent. I remember at this time a song had been composed by African American, Ringo Dinga. You know, the people like Malcolm X and others who are recognizing. So he was not a small guy at the time. I think he was seen as a leader of African movement in the world. So he did not lack that credibility and international image. As a matter of fact, he was respected both in the socialistic world and also in the Americas and in Britain. So he was seen as a leader. But then he realized they were the whites or the colonialists and others would use him as a divide and rule, which of course they tried to do with the Kadu issue again. So he was just a little smarter. He outsmarted them in their own game, only to be betrayed by Kenyatta. So I think he was thinking as a Kenyan. He's thinking as a nation coming together that should be able to work together rather than sabotaging each other. I think in the leadership at the time, I think they were clear who was supposed to be a leader. So he did not want to step forward and destroy that kind of unity, which was the game that the colonialists used to kind of create this divide and rule. I think that was the language. So I don't think he was somehow did not feel competent enough to take over leadership. I think he knew he was competent, but he thought a united force would be hard to beat, by whoever tried to do it. So insecurity, no. International appeal, yes, he had. So that's my take on the whole thing. I think it's a symbol of. Remember, even Mandela did not even want to be a leader. He thought maybe if in fact he wanted somebody else to be. If the people said no, you are the leader. I think Odinga had seen even Gandhi. Gandhi knew he was able to lead India, but he saw his leadership in a different direction. And I think Odinga was in the same type of frame of thinking as a nationalist, as a one who understood how to fight this war and win for the nation, which of course he was able to do. effectively. So that's my take on it.
Okay, thank you. I wouldn't disagree with you on the issue of international appeal, but at that time for independence, there was the aspect of different groups pulling in different directions. Like, for example, we had the opportunistic, the Kinamoi, and there was another guy who are ready to, who presented themselves as the bona fide leaders at the expense of those who are in Kapenguria. And then they said they are now the elected leaders, and therefore they should take over the independent Kenya, regardless of Jomo Kenyatta and the other team being in prison. And they were ready to take over. And then, of course, I call them opportunistic. But it took Jaramogi's strong conviction and strong stand to challenge the entirety of the parliament and the nation in proving that Jomo Kenyatta was and his team were the bona fide, who are still the bona fide leaders of the people. And in the hearts of hearts, everybody understood that Jomo Kenyatta was the leader. Now, I believe he fought for that in the pretext that he knew that the release of Jomo Kenyatta will diffuse the impending rebellion, which would have arisen by reason of him taking the leadership without securing the Jomo Kenyatta in terms of the people pulling in the direction and support of Jomo Kenyatta. And that particular time, we had a lot of course, suspicion. And then everybody was, careful. We were still in the fear of the white man. And there were also uncertainty of what will become of the country. Can a black man be able to provide leadership to a whole nation? So there were those insecurities at that point in time. And so, in my opinion, Jaramogi's fears were, if Kenyatta is more popular than me and he leads a rebellion against me, I am finished. But if I let him go first, I can come in second and be able to have taken root, and that will help me into charting the way forward for the country without, of course, putting in view the eventualities of betrayal of those who make you king. You begin by eliminating them, which is a very sad state of affairs. Maybe we'll dive into that as we continue the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing here. We need you to be on the forefront, kukaribisha mtu na kuchangia. Okay, karibisha mtu na uchangie katika kusema yote ambayo unapaswa kusema. Na swali tunalouliza leo ni kwamba would Jaramogi Oginga Odinga would have done better if he became president at independence than Jomo Kenyatta? That is a yes or no answer, which you are giving on our two YouTube channels, Sound Candy Talk Live, 6 votes, all of them in favor of yes. Hapa hakuna no. Kila kitu hapa ni yes too. Of course, let's look on the other side of our Sound Candy Talk. Already have 51 likes, 74 votes. 20 people have not liked the video. Please like the video before you cast your vote. It's important. We need those likes. Thank you so much. Would Kenya have done better under Jaramogi Oginga Odinga than Jomo Kenyatta? 88% say yes, 12% say no. What is your take? We need to hear your voice. Karibu studio, ukaseme ya kwako. Asante sana. Amwona, unless Reverend Lala, you have a quick response, we give to Olara.
There's so much noise here. Let Olara take over.
Thank you, thank you. Bwana Olara, how are you today?
Niko salama sana. Niko salama kabisa. And I thank Reverend Lala pale na wachungaji leo wako wengi hapa. Itabidi nisiende vulga sana, itabidi niende nichunge lugha yangu kidogo.
Hiyo ni lazima, lakini tulia tu kidogo, one moment. Olele TV, I'm looking for the man. If you have his details, please forward them to me. If you have the details for the guy you're asking for, forward them to me. I tried to search out the details I'm yet to find, but if he accepts, we would love to host him so that he can give us what he knows. Thank you. Olara, go ahead.
Yeah, as usual, that is, I will call it non-consequential question, because why? There is no other African leader after independence who did something meaningful after gaining independence. I'll answer that question myself. You know why? Because if you look at the colonial French pact with the African nations in the French colonies, at least French were honest. They were not like leaving. They were just taking the sovereignty to Paris. In our situation, maybe we were left with some leeways. We sang for almost 7 years until 1971, 72, 73. By 1973, it get worse because that's when almost 1969, let's say 69, the fallout was already there. Divide and rule was already there. The hegemony was starting to be the hegemony of the birth of the hegemony of the consequences that we're living here was already planted by the same Wazungus through land compensation, through how it would divulge. Then the land was actually acquired. Then the loan Kenya paid after some times, but the land was captured. Then the culture was developed. Then the policies of quelling the outright owners of the country developed into dictatorship of first Kenyatta. Then Moi cemented it with a constitutional amendment. Then we had a fight where we were disrupted, impoverished. Kenya almost went to bankruptcy just to maintain the same policies, because even the husbandry between Moi and first Kenyatta was just part of quelling that land issue of compensation of it. Then our politics developed around that side. Then our leaders became so stupid and so primitive in accumulation of the lands. Somebody acquires almost a district in his name. Somebody acquires almost a half a district in his name. Then the little politician, everyone just forgotten about the country. They all want to acquire land because it's a trend. So what were we left by? We were left with benevolence of the leaders. When the leader look at you benevolently, he can develop a more benevolence policies, like you allow your children to have 844 free education system, then feed you some few dairies, some quarter liter per week, because you know you're already malnourished anyway. And those cows, he has it from his farm. Then he use state cooperation, then feed you, then you sing, oh, nyayo, you know, see. We have to be more philosophical in approach. This question is an existential question, because if Lala is here and Bernard, if you can spew some hikima, or if you use some wisdom in this question is going to answer a lot of other questions. Was Kenyatta nationalist? Yes, he was. And when did it turn to be capitalist? Is when the money from Britain came in, and he was corrupted by it at around 1967-69. Those 2 years was the worst year for Kenya in history, and that's where the new colonialism came in. Kenyatta was made to believe that actually these people are just fine. Where they are, they're just fine. Kikuyus in Laikipia, in Njoro, in some other areas, because this is their nature. Those guys come with education, they come with belief system, they come with laws, they come with what? Even in fact, the laws of the Constitution of Kenya here, even the Constitution including the 2010, there's nothing much changed. There's just structure of government which changed. But the actual doctrine of that constitution, because if you all know, the NGOs supported and actually financed Constitution 2010. It's not a government of Kenya out of our own conviction that we have to have a new constitution. It was just how to rule, but it's never why was that constitution in there. You see, the moment you castigate your other African harsher than a white man falls. You see, a white man can make a laboratory or vaccine or something and kills billions of people. It will be reviewed as an attempt in the right direction. It will be corrected only, but it will not be doomed. I'll give you an example. Leopold of Belgium killed almost what? 20, 30 million of us in Congo alone. But he's never been in any history book as a worst murderer in the history of mankind. But Saddam Hussein was given that thing. And today, even Hamas was given that title. This is human animals. And then bombed to extinction. And then the public opinion of the world look at it as normal, including, especially you guys who are holding conscience of people in the pulpit. You should be telling some facts about brutal nature of this thing. I'm not saying that it is the religion. I'm saying how religion is used. You pull people in a direction where they don't even know where they are. But the actual thing is, this is a Zionist system. It's just another colonialist. These are people who are ready to extinct people. If they can use vaccine, yes. If they can use politics, yes. If they can use Ruto, yes. We must be very aware of that. If we speak here narrowly, including you guys who are having much emotions of people at heart, because in these difficult times, people like you and Bernard and that, you have to be speaking some truth to the fact. The truth of the fact is those people came here with policies and intentions, and the gospel they teach us was not the real gospel. It's just a gospel of following what they are leading. What they're leading is some people like Ruto. This is the result of that. Our education system producing what? Produce that, including theologians. You theologians are very important, in fact, because once they removed our belief system in our rain, praying for sun, praying for harvest, celebrating harvest and doing that, recalling our ancestors, this was just belief system. but we are all just still praying in the same God. But now they look at us, everything, they demonize us to an extent. They call us a witchcraft, or they call us a what? Anything, even an angel is white, even there's nothing white in you. Look for instance now, when the war started with Gaza here, Thailand was supplying Israel with almost what? This report came out. Almost all the farmlands in Israel was farmed by agriculture sector, was laborers who are all from Thailand. And you don't see that in the international news. But those guys were living in a horrible situation. They were enslaved there, and they're just harvesting because that land actually is just irrigation. They are dealing with that irrigation system. They were the one who thriving that irrigation. What happens now? When the war started, Thailand government pulled these people out. Why? Because they felt that their people are in danger. Maybe there's a regional war. He will end up with almost 10,000 or 50,000 people stuck in Israel. They cannot get back home. We have a similar situation now in Saudi Arabia. We have more than 30, 40,000 housemates. And housemates is just an extension of slavery. Housemates are just an extension of slavery.
Bonolara, I must interrupt you on the premise that you are taking us around the world again.
Okay.
I would appreciate if you use those things as an example, but bring us back to the subject.
I'm coming. That's why I'm coming. I'm coming to the
subject. You take too long to come.
You see, because I'm addressing you, sir. I'm addressing you, Reverend.
I agree with you.
I cannot give you a shallow example.
Naomba hivi usiende sana. Ukienda sana tunakupoteza. I mean, we lose what you're saying, so we just follow your story. You finish, we go, but we can't carry points from what you're saying. So I would want you to try and bring us back to Kenya in good time and help us make sense of what we are doing. Now we are in that independent week. Want to see these 60 years, have they been a West, and why have they been a West? And how do we now start the 61st year so that we gain what we have lost in 60 years? That I believe is a more interest of the majority of our audience. And then, of course, the Tony issue right now is the desperation and the depression that Kenyans are getting into because the future is looking bleak and they don't know how long it will be. So we should both offer information, light, as well as a quick, not necessarily a quick fix, but a better picture on what can be done in the shortest time possible to help the situation. Thank you.
Can I proceed?
Yes, carry on.
Thank you. You see, that illustration will make my summary better understood. Chinese are not Christians, Japanese are not Christian, Russians are Christians, but they have their own system. Indians, the third largest economy, is it the fourth? They're not even closer to that. They spit on this. Walihara kwa barabara zote za India paka Mwingereza katoka kule. But what they did, they took the technology and they throw out every trash out there. Sasa, you see why we are dominated? We are dominated because we have leaders who have no interest at all. Maybe they have interest, but they still believe in the world system. But they have not integrated. You cannot integrate in the world system if you're not strong. South Africa is taking a right direction, including President Ramaphosa is doing some realigning his foreign policies, diversifying that thing, and he realized that there's some problem in our economic system. Zimbabwe will emerge stronger because they've passed through the pain, the pangs of it, and including even their pastors, they are speaking differently than our pastors here. They look at a white man differently than they look at everything. We still believe that if it was Odinga the first will be better. If will be better, he will be assassinated. He will be assassinated as the assassinated Amra Cabral. He will be better. He will be assassinated as Kwame Nkrumah. He will be better. And then they'll delve this country into a worse situation whereby actual armed raised against each brothers. They did this in West Africa a lot, and Congo is still relishing that. Angola took a longest time because Angola had the resource of oil. That's why the war was there, because of that resources. Kenya, we are just only lucky because we don't have oil. If we had oil, they could have just sown in Oginga Ogenda without even fear of doubt. Then release Kenyatta and arm Kenyatta. What happened in Angola is said. So for the first thing to happen, we have to understand that those people came here with all the, including our constitution is still their constitution. Our leaders are still chosen. Look at the pilgrimage Ruto took to Rodham. Raila took the pilgrimage to Rodham. Then they decided, no. Your father has a bad influence. He has a Pan-Africanist view. This guy cannot be a good agent. They allow Ruto with ICC burdens. ICC burden was also created. I think ICC burden was created to dominate those two presidents, including Uhuru and Ruto. That tool of ICC is still using their brain. They are submissive to an extent that they cannot do something nationalistic. They have to always look out. Oh, am I pariah? Am I pariah? Okay, I don't want to be pariah. I submit more. I submit more. Including now digital identification. You know what? What is that? You are selling out your DNA. And in America, DNA is still something. Your consent must be taken before somebody takes your DNA and sample it and give you a result. And it's only sanctioned in your interest. It's not sanctioned by a third party, like a government sanction your DNA to be your identity. Why should the government do that? It's a further multiplication of dominance. They want to dominate us even further, i.e., they see our genetics, then they can come with the right vaccinations, right vaccines, right vaccine policies, then they just put it in a polio. Oh, there's a rise in polio in Africa, we are bringing a new polio here. Then they inject that polio vaccine to actually eliminate us before we know. Sasa, going forward, Mr. Lala na Bernard, I don't think the question today could be more or less, but I believe, this is my conclusion, I believe an Odinga would have been not susceptible to grab all those lands he grabbed, the Kenyatta grabbed. He would have grabbed lesser, and his cabinet would have been more disciplined, and some rule of law would have been existent, and the constitution will be adhered for more, and we would not have a Moi second. We would not have a Moi as a second president. Maybe we would have that guy from Laikipia who said 10 million. Jani ule wamesema Kenya is a country of 1 million you and 10 million beggars. Maybe that guy would be
JM Karaoke.
J.J. Kariuki would have been a second president, or no? Why not? And that other Luo who ameuliwa hapa, ameuliwa na Kenyatta huyo, the one who flew a lot of students to United States.
Tomboya.
And why he flew a lot of students, I don't know why. Was he flying people to be brainwashed? But you see, if we had a Raila Oginga, then we had a JJ, then we have that second as a second president. Kenya would not be a center of economics of East Africa, but at least we would not be an agent to support demolition of a whole of East Africa, like Somalia. We are agent of that. DRC is controlled from Nairobi, and Ethiopia, half of Ethiopia is controlled from Nairobi. Those agencies are based in Nairobi. They're destroying Somalia. They're destroying DRC. All the money laundering, all those theft from 60s up to now, from DRC especially, I felt bad. And that's why you see Yoweri was trying to also get a loot out of it. And Rwanda is thriving out of the same loot, because now they're diversifying where they wash the loot from Congo. You see, and Congo suffered. My God. I just wish that country is subdivided, then they have a separate rules. You know, they are so big a cake that even a nuclear bomb can be used one day if Kenya becomes resistant to Congo exploitation. They'll bomb us. A ship will be in Mombasa, throw one bomb in Navy Yard, throw one bomb in Nairobi.
Bwana Lara, are you advocating for us to live in fear for the rest of our life and live on our knees, do nothing?
No, what I'm saying is that what I'm suggesting.
Goja kwanza. This we shall be bombed. We can be bombed. We are at the mercy of these people. Where is it taking us to? Is it taking us to a place of accepting and doing nothing? Or what do we do in response?
Mm-hmm. You see now, you are starting to ask real questions now. The real question is, the answer to that real question, I like that question, in fact. Our education system should not produce the same students we have. And the response to that is, we should not be electing leaders with who's buying us with 50 votes, like Ruto. We should not, if we don't address that. And the moment you see Libya, which was having the most successful country in Africa, is bombed to ashes, you should be looking at those people and think correctly. Thinking correctly, you don't introduce GMO in your country. Think correctly, you have to reintroduce the regional foods. People, what you are eating, we boost you. What you are doing, we boost you. What you are doing, we boost you. Then, you see, Uganda went through 20 years of war, even including Congo. But Congo only asked for what? For UN aid, where? When people are displaced. But when people are settled in their place, they eat always. Because they have indigenous food in the right place. Indigenous food doesn't need pesticides.
But Olara, I think you've taken enough time and you're not answering my question. You're avoiding it.
No, I'm answering.
How is indigenous food going to stop us from being bombed? Olara, you have placed us in a vulnerable place where we are the mercy of these people. Then you are telling us we should go back to indigenous food and all that. Is it that we are eating bad? That's why we are targeted.
No.
And of course, you know, election is never an election. Everybody wants to put themselves in office. Our queuing is just ceremonial.
That's what I was laying ground for. I'm telling you, what you see Ruto is doing is playing the cards. He's playing the cards. He's being placed there. The first amendments he went to parliament with is paracetamol. This is the biggest achievement he did in this country. His first amendment was after a financial bill. He came with paracetamol bill that you should not question. Parliament should not question him. Who's directing him to do that? Is the same constitution allowing him to do that? How does he do it? He does it how Colonial did it. He just manipulates. Please, what I'm saying is we have to have nationalist agenda. And when Oginga allowed, he did not take the bite because he was given the bite with the colonialists. But he understood it correctly. Those guys are just giving a bite. And when Kenyatta came out, the same colonialists give Tom Mboya the bite, and Tom Mboya bite it. Tom Mboya became popular. Tom Mboya became even Kenyatta come envious to him because they were introducing somebody against what? Against Kenyatta. And Kenyatta realized that very fast. But he understood also the rules of power. Kenyatta was smarter than Tom Mboya, than Odinga. He took a lot of money to just protect the system. I don't think if he put that also to Kenyatta's system, the second Kenyatta. Because now, if you want to be strong, you have to be also strong economically. I don't know if that's correct, but I think Kenya is still in the right direction. But the moment...
Well, no, Lara, I think that's enough. You need to take a glass of water. In the meantime,
thank you.
Let's have huyu Mkenya mkora angalau naye atupatie utapeli wake leo. Inaonekana leo muko tu hapa kunidanganya.
Mdanganye mtu leo tunakumwagia ukweli leo.
Ninyi ukweli wenu umefichwa kwa mambo mengi sana. Hamtaki kusema ukweli mara moja. Sisi ni SMS generation. Tunataka short and precise.
Shida yake ni kubwa zaidi.
Answers. Koja kwanza. Asante. Kenya mkora. Hali vipi?
Vipi? Mambo vipi?
Niko poa. Serikali ya ukora leo imeachilia wakora wengi.
Tuliokota Olara. Kwanza nilikuwa naomba asijaribu kuangalia comment section kabla niingie. Waje nimemchokoza huko, nimemwambia amekuwa tourist na ni rafiki yangu. Sasa nilikuwa naogopa kabisa asiangalie huko, kwa unajua sisi hatupendi ujinga, tunachukua kama tourist, tunaingiza mtakuwa tourist ninyi wote. Unaona tumechukua Olara amekuwa tourist pia yeye.
Hii tourism yenu ni ya kuuza wanyama ama kuuza watu wakuje kuona wanyama?
Chochote chenye kinaweza uzika, ukiangalia macho pale ukiona inaweza uzika, uza.
Sasa tabaki na nini ukiuza kila kitu?
Sini ya Kenya na si ndio president. Ni nini shida yako? The president is the leader of the country. Kwa hivyo tunauza kila kitu kwa sababu tuko na idhini ya kuuza kila kitu. It belongs to me as the president of the country. It belongs to me.
That is not in the constitution.
Which constitution? Even the constitution belongs to me. I'll sell it.
Caretaker wa nyumba zako zile ziko Mlolongo. Is it the owner of those houses?
Watu wewe sasa ukienda hapo pasa tutakosana.
Anaweza kuuza.
Sasa ukienda huko wewe, that's another whole different game.
No, mimi nataka nikuwe caretaker wako sasa. Kama ni hivyo, nifanye caretaker kesho asubuhi.
Hapana, hiyo staki hapana. Wacha hiyo ni country nyingine. That's not the country called Kenya. No, mimi naishika no. Hell no. Anyways, but Bernard, I understand what Olara is trying to say, but yes, it's true. Amekuwa tourist kidogo. And Olara, you know, I'm not harsh with you. It's just that, yeah, there's something that I've Bernard, as I come into my point. I'm starting to really get very very, allow me to use this language, very pissed off by people always comparing Kenya with other countries. Because even the question that is you asked today, and that's a very good question, Bernard. Like Olara said, it will open up other things that we need to ask. Some things that we've been speaking here. You see, we were at 50 10 years ago. And 10 years, it seems like ni kitambo sana. Truly, kwa juzi we did Madaraka Day for 50. Now we're at 60. That's 10 years after. Real quick. And Olara said so many things were never done right. And I won't sitakimbia sana kama Olara. I'll hit the hammer where I'll hit the nail where it is, and then nirudi mafichoni kwa sababu najua nitachapwa. Bernard, like it or not, hata kama nitachukua a whole week off, kwanza nawasha moto studio leo. The biggest problem and the train yenye ilichapaga Kenya, the mother of it all and the father of it all, na wazazi wakuu, was one mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And sometimes you're told that your generations might actually try to correct your mistakes. And I believe the first time Uhuru did not really try to correct. Now, we don't know what was going on behind. We hear alikuwa amewekewa gun kwa kichwa, he couldn't do anything. But his second time, he actually tried to correct it. But the biggest mistake that Kenya ever did was Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Bernard, when you're starting to go for a journey, you don't start to move in with a car that actually has flat tires. Yenye hujafanya hata tune up, itakukufia kabla ufike Gilgil na unaenda Nakuru. Why am I saying this, Bernard? Let me go straight to the point and hit it apple. We were getting independence. We were not switching political people from black to white. White to black. The person that we got actually was never even caring about the country. Luckily, alikuwa amefungwa. But the guy that you're comparing with him, he's a guy that actually decided to say, look, I'm not going to take it, and you're not going to, mtanisumbue Kenya ni yetu na hatuwezi pata independence kama mmefunga watu. So that's a guy that actually was looking forward towards the country. Now, what happens now after Metetewa, the Kenyatta? And I don't know who these people that like calling me when I'm on show. Please come on to Anini while he show. Please don't call me when I'm on the show, and especially if I'm using Kenya Mkora, because I'm using my phone. Bernard, I hope you can still hear me. Can you hear me? It was a call coming in.
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Just go to the point.
Thank you. Yeah. So when we got independence, we were not trying to switch from white colonialism to black colonialism. And the biggest reason that we have today, and the biggest things that happens, and Bernard, I think I brought this thing, skwingine hapa nikagongwa mawe, nishazoea. Even this Rift Valley problems that we have today, they come from that Kenyatta exchange of power. The Laikipias, the Rift Valley, nanini, hiki tuyote ya wakale nanini, and even the flying, what you remember, it was the flying, what do you call this? Flying eggs zenye zilifanyika huko Kisumu ndio shida ikakua. Who was there? The same Kenyatta. And Bernard, there's a story, and we need to start talking about it, by the way, so that we can liberate ourselves once and for all. You remember, I mean, there's like a story, into our 80s and 90s and 70s, you will know there's a story that was being told that in the Rift Valley, watu walikuwa wanaambiwa enda utupe mawe, mali itafika, hiyo ndo itakuwa land yako. It's the same problem that we are having today. Why is it that it revolves between those three? Mostly the two. That was what actually brought all this problem. The land issue, Nungo report, sijui nini, now NADCO. It's all about that. Bernard, I keep on asking you, have you ever seen the way country ni kubwa? Have you ever seen other people fighting this vitu zote? Why is it that is all there? It's because from the independence, when we got independence, we never got independence. We got black, colonialism. Because of what? Puppet. Now you're complaining about another puppet that amekuja, because every time kitu ikienda kusovika, they have to fight. They have to bring something. Bernard, I'm telling you, Jomo Kenyatta, actually, Oginga Odinga did Kenya a disservice, but I think he was doing the right thing to try and actually liberate. Think about imperialism versus capitalism. Kenyatta went for full capitalism. Na hapo ndio walikosania. Siku hizi unaona watu wakikosana. Kama mlipata independence, you're not supposed to kukosana hivyo. I mean, kina Nelson Mandela did it. How many countries have gotten the independence? How comes yake ilianza ikaleta shida? So Bernard, that's the reason I'm saying he's the reason even today, and that's the biggest strain and the worst strain that ever hit Kenya. And how I wish Oginga Odinga would have gotten it. That's why he had brought people like in a Tomboya that actually were bringing Nimeskia Nani. Lala said there was only 12. Did he say 12 graduates by that time? But people like in a Tomboya, they were going out there working with JF Kennedy and bringing people who can actually change the country. Mpaka wakakuja wakakosana. And most of them, actually, they started killing them. How many died? You see? So Bernard, what I'm saying, yes, we have to look back and look at the history. And this is the history that some of us, wale watu watupangwingwi, ndio utu tukina Benten, kina Tubrayo, tukina nani, tuenya tupangwingwi. That is why they don't understand the history of Kenya, and they don't even understand that Moi alishikiwa akienda, akihepa, akarudishwa Kenya, ndio kuja kuwe nini after Kenyatta died. So they don't understand that. And unless you go back to the history, Bernard, tutashinda. Mimi nilishajam kitambo, unajua. Mimi I'm going to talk the truth. The Kenyatta was the problem, and is the problem that we have with, and the only problem that Kenya has lies between Central and Rift Valley. That was brought by Kenyatta. Call it a spade, not a big spoon. Ya Luo Nyanza ilikuwa gatu walikuwa na revolve. I mean, they always, they call themselves intellectual. Ukitupa mawe itaangukia professor. They are good people. They understand what they are, and they're not selfish. But these two places is where Kenyatta messed up our country that we are having. Even the tribalism that we suffer today came from that. Nyerere, like you guys were talking, did not go with the tribal. You don't even know who's what in hata sijui. Do you know how many tribes do you know in Tanzania? Hata hii Uganda yenye tunasemanga, ni sisi tu. That tribalism was exponented by our first president, because he was not coming to liberate our country, but to continue the Mzungu thing. And this even Mau thing, it still comes from him. By the way, Bernard, as I finish, who gave Kikuyus the nini kiapo? Isn't it Kenyatta? Kiapo yenye nafanyanga ati wanasemanga wezi patia kehe. Nani aliwapatia kiapo? Isn't it him? The Mau thing that we keep on talking here, like kina Mekatilili never fought for our country, like kina Masaku never fought for the country. Isn't it him? The walikuwa naitwa nini guards or whatever they were when walikuwa wanafanya, isn't it him? So he was the problem. And yes, to answer your question, Bernard, yes, how I wish our first our first person that was supposed to be the leader, Oginga Odinga, hata maybe hata nani Raila ageingia kwa politics, kama nani ageingia, because the country would have gone well. Nimekuambia leo nimekuja kuwasha moto, acha nisikize kidogo, nimesimama tu mahali because I had to dig this one in because I love that question, and Bernard is the truth that people need to hear. Mimi sijui kama wakisi mnapiganaga na nini na watu wengine kama ama mlikula kiapo. The only place we know walikula kiapo is who was there. So yes, that question is very well asked. Thank you for that question. Na asante sana for always being here. I keep my peace.
Thank you Mkenya Mkora, tunashukuru kwa mchango wako na moto wako umewasa. Kaa hapo hapo na extinguisher. Alfred Mtawili, yule mwalimu wangu, asema Uhuru Kenyatta met with the US ambassador. Are you aware? Yes, we are aware. I understand wanambembeleza akubali karagosi. But I don't think it is. I don't think there is much left to save on the Ruto's presidency, unless they want to make him a ceremonial president. Ceremonial in the sense that he's there, but the country is gone, and nobody takes him serious anymore. You saw him today trying to force greeting to the people. Ashafika kwa uwanja, wale watu wamekuja kwa release debate, akiwave namna hii hakuna mtu ana wave back, as in everybody is tired. And so wazungu labda wataendelea kumsalimia, lakini wa Kenya wametosheka. Nashukuru. Naona Derek ameingia. Olaro, nitakupatia dakika moja ya kujibu, lakini subiri kidogo tu. Niwaonyeshe mkora wenu kwanza, ndio mkinipiga mao mnajua na dili na wakora.
And money being stolen, my friend, is utter nonsense.
Who is supposed to decide whether it is nonsense or whether it's real? Is it you or is it the investigative agencies?
Let me tell you, there are some things that are beyond even believability. You sincerely think, Hussein, the government of Kenya can collude with the government of the United States to steal public money from Kenya? You should really?
Okay, I'll give an example. On this Eurobond, when this issue came up, and you talked about it, and we've talked about it before, the Cabinet Secretary Treasury, Cabinet Secretary Treasury, Henry Rotich, promised a blow-by-blow account on how this money was spent. He did an about turn. He never did it.
He asked the former Prime Minister to go to his office.
But he promised. He promised even journalists.
The former Prime Minister never went.
But he promised journalists he's going to do it, but he did not do it.
What questions have been asked to Henry Rotich and he has not answered?
That is one. That is one which he promised and he did an about turn.
What questions? To the best of my knowledge, even if you went and Googled, forget about even talking to Rotich, and Googled today on matters to do with Eurobond, you will find the explanation from the Minister, from Treasury, online. Forget about even looking for anybody.
Okay, but he did not. That's the point. He promised and he did not.
What do you mean he did not?
He did not. He said he'll give a
if he has given, I have a copy of what was posted on the website, answering every question.
Okay. Again, economists argue about this, and conventional economists will teach us that if you pump so much hard currency in an economy, government borrowing for banks will go down. That is definite. And these are the questions that have been asked. And as a result, banking lending rates will drastically go down. The affected economy will experience strengthening of the operating local currency. Why didn't our economy respond to this? And finally, on this matter of Eurobond. Recently, at the State House Summit, when Edward Onko, the Auditor General who is investigating this, when President Kenyatta almost rubbished what he was doing by seeking to go to New York to investigate this. Isn't that interfering with investigations? Why won't you just let him finish his investigations? Because you're saying all these allegations, there's nonsense.
My friend.
True. Why can't he finish the investigations without anybody interfering so that we know whether it's true or not?
Mr. Ugo is free. He has been to the U.S. not once on that matter, for your information. Right? He has been to the U.S. not once. And all the books are open on this matter of Eurobond. And let me tell you, Hussein, on national television, I can look Kenyans in the eye and tell them the allegations about the loss of Europol is nonsense. It is really, I mean, it is not possible that any government, you know, can collude with another government to steal money that was borrowed on behalf of the people.
But at any one time, in this government,
so what
but any one time, in this government or any other, would you advise anyone to interfere in investigations?
We don't interfere with any investigation. We don't interfere. Whatever you misconstrue the president to have said, you know, he didn't tell Mr. Ugo not to continue.
That's when he actually used that phrase, guy, if you remember.
Yeah, but
it's just absurd that he's going to investigate this in New York.
It is really absurd.
But it's his job.
I mean, really, surely, you know, this is nonsense. You know, you cannot, my friend, you know, and that is what I'm telling you. We have allegations of corruption. Where allegations of corruption have been made, the investigating authorities follow, right? And when they are found to be verifiable, action is taken.
Nchi ya kitu kidogo. God have mercy.
Ishakuwa ya kitu kikubwa. Actually si kitu kikubwa, ni kila kitu.
Ya kila kitu, hii ni
hata hewa.
Kila kitu. Subiri kidogo. Olara, dakika moja alafu tuchukue kuona are the days.
You restarted my thought. You restarted my thought thread, and now you played another video here. Watch to your other guests to come. Then I can be having a constructive fight back with that guy with M here.
Thank you. Gone are the days. How are you, Mr. David?
Hi, Bwana Bernard.
Niko mzima, ni mbuzi ya Christmas natafuta. Tapata kwako.
Wewe wachana na mambo ya Christmas. Hii Christmas saa hii imekuwa diluted bwana. Nasalimia Bwana Lara na Mkenya Mkora. So, Bernard, I only have 2 words. 2 only. And naachia Lara endelee. 1 goes for William Ruto and 1 goes for wananchi. Which goes for Ruto is, when you give a poor man power, then you'll really know how poor they are. It is as simple as that. And number 2, it goes to the people. When people come face to face with death, that's when they know whether they stand, whether what they stand on is what they believe in, or they stand beside it. So those are the only 2 things I want to put across. 1 goes for William Ruto and the other 1 goes for wananchi. Simple as that. Juu hii nchi sahi hata imefika mahali kusema itaanza kuwa shida, because tumesema tumerudia, and it's like what we have on table is not what we are being served. So it is what it is. Wananchi tu ndo makiniki. Asante.
Okay. Asante sana Bwana Derek. That's clear and to the point. Hey, may God help us. So Bwana Lara, what were you saying? Ulisema nilicheza table ikakusumbua, inakusumbua vipi?
Asante sana. Unajua leo Bernard, usichukue kitu kama is a laughing matter, because we are coming here with a lot of passion, and some of our viewers there should also expect that the emotions are raw. We are coming raw here. Lazima tuongee ukweli. Kenya inaporwa. Kenya inaporwa. Murkomen, as we speak today, is a billionaire. Maybe he can take me to a court tomorrow. Ruto have made other people billionaires, and maybe Ruto now is a trillionaire like Uhuru. Within 1 year, he's a trillionaire. He's boosted all his capitals. And when I speak about capitals, he invested the Kenyan money into his private account and take the dividends. The dividends is in terms of trillions now. The saddest part is he didn't take time. He could have done it like the Kenyatta first. It take around what, 64, 78, 12, 14 years. Yeah, you legitimize your con. Uhuru didn't have to do much. He just looted it and just retransfer the funds from his father back to the economy, bring this Brookside and what, clean the money, take it back as a hard currency, maybe gold. And I want to confirm one thing. I'm confirming the king's visit was to summit every other Kenya policy, foreign policy was cemented with that visit. I.e., Ruto was honored. Ruto was honored. What next will happen? Any other international congregation, any other, even smaller regional, Ruto will be called in because it's an agent. What? A crown agent. A crown agent. What does it do for us? It will do one thing. We'll become a guinea pig. We'll have every other. The churches will expand. The gayism will expand. Why should Kenya, one country, have all those to do everything thrown to us, including those American churches? They're in Texas. They're supporting support system. Then you have this name of church. You have a name of church. Every other church in America is supporting something here, down here. What are they doing? They are making you submissive. These are just Zionists. What is coming next is which is worse now. This carbon economy. Ruto was already given almost a national park of Kenya area somewhere in Ukambani to be just experimental. They plant different trees there which are not surviving there. They make them survive. Then what is happening? What is happening here? And then Ruto comes and cut a tree in Laikipia. Oh, kuna mamiti mizemize hapa ikatwe. Kuna watu wajinga hapa walikuwa hapa juzi. Ruto is speaking the same tongue and Kenya forestry cutting a lot of trees, and then he's speaking in the international level that Kenya is doing carbon economy. By the way, we have to use our resources. If we have a carbon, if we have charcoal, if we have oil, we have to develop fast before we become carbon economy. This is a lie, my friend. When a pastor, please, my approach is this. Hatutambeza mpunda kwa mteremko. na Wakenya wameshateremka, waache wateremke. Kenyatta to some extent is correct, is bad, but what happened with Moi was worse. Kenyatta left us with a certain guidance, certain economy, certain constitution. Moi just stopped it all at once. Maybe it's a continuation, but I don't believe that. Moi always gave us songs, and the most brutal are those who fast regimes.
Bernard, I want to ask Olara something.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Olara, give me one patriotic song that was sung during Kenyatta's time.
None.
I'm done.
Kenya, nakumbuka tu ni ile ya
wako wapi,
ile ya mambo ya tourism. Kenya kipenzi chetu, juangalia ngamia, kitu kama hiyo. Tourism.
Okay, so and anyway, Moi najua mtazileta. Nastaki, I don't want to mess the show. We are having a very good show, and it's very important.
Kenya hakuna matata from Kenyatta time. Kenya hakuna matata, hiyo matata. Because I remember that.
Okay. Today, and even, by the way, I'm not even sparing one of the guys that I've actually started to admire, though I never did, Uhuru. At a time, ya Uhuru. Tell me one patriotic song that was sung during Uhuru.
Tujibambe, tujikule. Kuna vibes bana. Wakati not patriotic, lakini ilikuwa national anthem pia.
Because I'll finish for you. The one that now with what we have, and we have to look at this. I mean, yes, there's a lot of jokes about it. I mean, it's comical, but just look at it how it is at that time. And the people that were singing Kenya Inchi Yetu, Kenya, you know, those patriotic songs, they were serious people. They were the people from Kijijini, and they didn't have groups like we do have now with Bernard. They never had Bernard, who could actually connect people from all over the world, regardless where you are. They never used to have that. Ilikuwa ni KBC, kifungwa 11, my friend, imeenda. Na ilikuwa inaanza kwanza na kala zingine zinakata, sijui ni kama hawajui nini na wanaanzisha. So now we are singing Hatupangwi Ngwi. You see the problem? Are you seeing the problem? I'm sorry, it was on a lighter note, but are you seeing the problem? I hope I'm not laughing, by the way. I'm serious in what I'm trying to say. Are you seeing the problem? We don't have patriotism. Sometimes, just the other day, I sent on our group, I sent something about a guy, I think he was in Texas or Nevada or something, exercising their rights in front of cops. And people asked me, wow, that guy is really going to do that? Because that is the constitution. Do we even ever exercise our constitution? Ama tuliambiangwa si ni mafala. So, and it started with, that's what I was trying to say, and I don't want to belabor, to stay on that topic so much. I probably wish, I will move on, but I'm saying that is the social fabric, geoeconomical, whatever you want to call it, the political part of it is the problem, where we don't understand that these guys are employed and they're civil servants, and that started with Kenyatta. That's why I had a problem with what Bernard put out there, and because that is what has believed us is a problem with our country, is the social fabric decay in our country. Olara, I'm not trying to go nini. I'm just trying to say, and most of the time you will find that we don't want to talk about these things. Yani, we are at a place where some things when you talk about them, utagongwa, yes, we laugh here, unagongwa, unafanya nini. But the truth, everyone knows the truth, but no one wants to talk about it. It's kind of like now you're finding...
I can say it. I can say it.
Okay, sorry.
You see, Mkenya mkora, sisi tuna wazungu wakora wako juu yetu. Sisi tuko na wazungu wakora juu yetu. Hawa watu hawakuja hapa na NGOs ya kutusaidia, hawakuja hapa na anything. Even the country Kenya ni yao. Walijigawia kule walikokuweko. Wakaja hapa wakasema sisi ni wachawi. Tumebaki na nchi inakaa kama vile nchi inakaa hivyo. Hiyo nchi tunaongea saa hizi, nchi haina thamani yote kwa macho yao. Thamani yake ni itawasaidia vipi. Sasa kuna mtu huu Seneta Busia alisema kama hatutapata mtu kiongozi ambaye anajua ya kwamba mtu mweusi ndo mtu mang'aa peke yake ambaye kumalizwa. Alipelekwa kwenye meli paka Amerika akabaki kule. Alipelekwa paka Brazil akabaki kule. Na bado yuko. Na bado wako Afrika 1.5 billion of it. Hawa ni kitu walishindwa kumaliza. Walimaliza Wahindi, walimaliza nini? Australia wakahamisha wengine Fiji, wakahamisha wengine wapi? Wakahamisha wengine wapi? Wakabaki na nchi. Walimaliza Wahindi pale wote wakamalizwa. Wengine wakapelekwa Mexico. Sisi ndo target. Na kwa taarifa yao sisi ndo the jewel of the God. Nataka kuambia Bernard leo, kuna jamaa anaitwa Mzimbabwe anaitwa Bishop Maponga.
Olara, kabla uende kwa Bishop, let me ask you a question.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
understand that in our continent, which is a big continent of the 7 of them, the biggest and the largest of all, do you understand that there's only 3 countries that never got colonized because they fought? Listen, the day we realized that we are cowards, that we decided to be colonized, and when we got the chance to not be colonized anymore, hii kitu yenye mnasemanga ya IMF sijui nini, for me waga inanichapa kiboko, because and especially when you hear a parliamentarian standing in parliament and talking about, oh, US does this and comparing, and that was my fight with you earlier on the comment section where I posted something, because you're running around and talking about other countries and not talking about your country. We don't even need to even look at our constitution as accordance to any other constitution of any world, because first of all, we don't know those world, we don't know what they do. They don't eat the same food we eat. They don't do the same thing that we do. So why is it that even our constitution, and even when we stand in parliament, you hear a member of parliament talking about, oh, the United States Constitution of this and this? They kind of know the Constitution of the United States, or even of somewhere else, like that. I mean, our colonizers. Now that we are talking about Kenya at 60, you hear people still referring to the Constitution of countries that are not, has nothing to do with Kenya. Why can't you in Bomayako make your own constitution of how you're going to live with each other, and actually let the other people actually come into that? Kwa nini kitu yote unapataga mtu yote akitaka kujulikana anajua kitu anaicompare na country ingine? Eritrea Ethiopia, and I think the other ones never got colonized. In fact, they have their own alphabet system. So basically, when I'm trying to say this, am I saying that we detach ourselves from the whole world? I'm not saying that. But I'm also saying, where is our power? Because our power is not on the monetary part of it. Our power is not on the IMF giving us money like Ruto is thinking and this other. Even the other wenye tumekuwa now, the last presidents, yes, they had a little bit of ujinga and ya kitu kama hiyo. At 60 years old, seriously. Today, yes, we understand US went ahead of us. The dollar, we are talking about the dollar. Where is our Kenyan shilling? So dollar ndio imekuwa yetu. So as we are so useless that we have to depend on the dollar. And that is why we wanted to do zero remittance to make your dollar ianguke, na bado hatujamalizana nao, by the way. Kama kuna mtu ananisikiza, if they are saying that tunazileta kutoka South Africa, tutazileta kutoka South Africa, black market and everything. We will kill that dollar dependency of the Kenyan shilling to where the Kenyan shilling is known. We are not going to go Mugabe side where now, I mean, Bernard, sorry, sir, but you know where the Zimbabwean, I don't know what it's called, where it is, mnabeba na wheelbarrow. Just the other day, Kenyan shilling was being carried by ukienda Uganda, unatolewa pesa hata unaogopa kutembea nayo. We will make it fall, so that the guy economically and socio-economically, there's nothing to do in Kenya for people, so that now we go back to a reset mode. Bernard, that was the question that nilikuwa nimekuwekea mbele uko ukianza. So nilikuwa nimekwambia tunaenda reboot mode, either reboot or we restart this computer called Kenya. Iko na virus mingi.
Okay.
Mato, ilikuwa time
Virus.
yangu, umeingia tu umenivamia, sasa umenivamia nikishamaliza mambo yangu. All in all,
Now,
na support vile umesema.
Bwana Lara, nipatie sekunde mbili niweke the kitchen in order. It is 24 minutes to 2 a.m. East African time. That means you're on the wee hours of signing out. Harun is here. He has not spoken. So Lara, you will do your 2 minutes and then give to Harun to do his submission. And then we begin to call it a day. Thank you. Lara.
Mato, lazima nikuangalia kwa macho hivi, nikuangalia ndio nikuzungumzisha. Unajua, the bitter pill is we are still colonized. Our education is still colonized. We are only lucky we are here as panelists. We can actually look at it and face it. Nyanya yako anashika msalaba kama Mungu, na Mungu yuko msalaba. Mungu yuko kwenye vitendo. Tunaangalia machache iko hapa inatapeli watu ati nini, ati ataombewa mtu apate milioni, anapata nini. This is the same thing. Once we hit deep down there, we'll get into right conscious. And when your religion is unwritten, when your religion is unwritten, you are being dumbfolded with any other constitution, everything else. They unwritten your religion when they take you out of your roofs, out of your belief system, out of your systems. And now, because this now becoming a global big bomb, big economic, big vaccine, one agro, one everything, one Chinese, one big fire from Russia. The equation is, are we a zero subtotal? Are we just the zero which is coming into the fraction? No. Let's be smart. allow our education system to thrive, including a simple thing like content creation, you tax it. I think you are mad. You are mad. A simple thing as content creation, you want to tax it. Mato, Apple. Then you know you don't have a government. You have agent acting as a church leaders. You have agent acting as a president. You have an agent acting as a chief. All of them are just subduers. They want to subdue you to the maximum level. They look down to you. We have to be like Chinese, not the Chinese like necessarily. We have to go back to be Africans at least. Rethink for ourselves. There's no relief coming from World Bank. There's no relief coming from King visiting you. There's no relief coming from IMF. There's no relief coming from UN National. There's no relief even in your belief system. Some of them are just agents of propagating the same beliefs. We have to look at us down there. And they have subdued some of Sankara. They've subdued, my big brother of Ghana. Pierre Lumumba told us one thing. They came here with a set of policies which are still implemented to date. Belief system, economic system, and accordingly, our leaders are playing the same cards. And I hate Jomo Kenyatta. He wrote our history books incorrectly. He just said Mama the only one fought for it because he hijacked the Mama movement and he projected himself as Mama.
Thank you. You are now back to the history you are supposed to give us. You went, you took us all over the world.
No, I'm just confirming
now
what Mato was saying. I'm confirming what Mato was saying.
Thank you for confirming. That's what you needed to confirm from the word go.
No, I cannot say it. I cannot say it's Jomo. You have to give a context. Then you conclude with it. Kama vile unafanya kwenye pulpit, and this is my pulpit here. Your channel is my pulpit. Your channel.
The problem with you is that you are once a school teacher. Teachers are always.
I'm just using a pulpit, sir. You have a pulpit. I'm using it. I'm just standing down there. You are standing up there, and maybe this way you will help more people, and more people can understand.
We're getting that done. Please, let's be conscious of time. Time is running out, and I don't want to overstay here. Thank you so much. Can we now have Mr. Harun to make his submission? Na kama wakereketo wa usiku mwako, tafadhali njooni. Kwa sababu mimi muda wangu ndio huo umeyoma. I need to take my good rest. I have a very, very busy weekend, and it will demand my the fullness of attention.
Bernard, wacha nichokoze Harun tu dakika moja cause kama anapeana yake hiyo nini yake, cause there's something we had spoken with him. Na I mean nilikuwa nimemchallenge a couple of weeks ago, and I want to challenge him so that he handles that one while he's doing it. And maybe anybody mwenye utapati hapo kufunga. I understand you're leaving. I'm so sorry Bernard, I wish I could. Kesho nitakuwa. Nilikuwa nataka Harun and whoever else is going to talk, because that was my last point that I was wondering. Bernard, I am not, anyway, I might be or not be, whatever. Whoever knows me ananijua kule niko. Historia UDA. I'm supporting someone from UDA. I'm wondering why is Gerald Gay I saw him talking about akisema ati watu ati ni Nandi ndio wanakuwa attacked while he's been yenda amepelekwa kwa koti. I was just wondering, guys, because I'm wondering in a rhetorical kind of question. Is it that every time that we talk about kila mtu ukiatakiwa unasema ni watu wa Nandi? How many Nandi people are called in Cheralgei? I don't know. Mi hii kitu ya mtu ukipelekwa koti. I mean, hiyo ni kesi yao ya Kenya Kwanza, yeye na nani na Murkomen, wacha wachapani huko kule wanachapania, lakini watu wa Nandi wameingilia wapi sasa? Ukisema ati mimi ati nimepelekwa koti, that's the Nandi community being taken to court. Bernard, when are we going to come from this the mediocre BS of people talking about mimi nikiguzwa ni Wakamba? So I know Haruna anajua kule tumetoana na hiyo. He will answer that. That's why I wanted to come before aseme, and I'm sorry for misbehaving, sir. I apologize. Poleni sana.
Mato, hapana omba msamaha, iko tu sawa. Mimi hizo drama Cheralgei sijui drama za nani hizo zisipati sikio langu, cause kama William Samoei Ruto yeye mwenyewe is a thief. Sasa hata hao wengine apeleke kotini asipeleke, it's just only wakati from the head imeoza yote mpaka chini ni kitu imeoza. So wakati unapata head of state jamaa grab the western land mpaka sasa hivi anakulia jasho ya Wakenya, then kutoka hapo Murkomen kula bilioni 15 vile Cheralgei alituambia. So ndio unaona kuwa anasakamwa, maybe wanataka a retract hiyo statement na nini. Those are dramas. Mimi nakwambia Kenya inastahili ifanyiwe overhaul. Overhaul. Kama ni hawa viongozi tutume wote nyumbani, tupate a new crop, but it will take time. That is the sad reality. So baba amesema kuwa exporting labor is dangerous, na nimeona watu wanampiga makombora. Look at the age group. Tuni, hebu niambie age group ya wale wenye wanakuwa exported kwenda Saudi Arabia ama kwenda Israel. Sasa hivi vita ikiwa inaendelea kati ya Hamas, below age of 45 years. Nao ndio wengi, ndio majority. Hao ndio mishale, hao ndio wanainua uchumi ya taifa. You are exporting, unawa export. Sasa ukiexport wote
Nitafukuzwa hapa hivi leo Harun. Ati wanaitisha farm workers.
Yes, wanaitisha 1500, watakuwa wanalipwa 230k per month, na vita bado inaendelea huko kati ya Hamas na Israeli. Hezbollah wanarusha makombora from anywhere zinaanguka kwa mashamba. Watakufa wote. Wenye wanaenda huko they will die. That is a sad reality. Eti wanapewa hiyo ndio Ruto aonyeshane wa Kenya kuwa anawatafutia kazi. Unatafutia watoto wenye wako na nguvu, unawacha mama zetu ambao miaka yao imeisha. Instead sisi tukae nyumbani tuchunge akina mama wetu. Mama akiwa mgonjwa kama hakuna ambulance, nitamweka kwa mgongo nimkimbishe hospitali. It is so sad. Baba amesema ukweli. As simple as that. You cannot export watoto ambao wako na nguvu ukisema kuwa ni kazi unaenda kuwatafutia. Uongo mbaya. So nimeona mama maandamano ameingia wa Kenya. Hizi drama zenye tunaangalia za the likes of Mandagos kukamatwa, sijui tena Nyakango kuna kesi inakuja. Hizo ni kuequalize kuwa pande hii si walisema huyu Nyakango ako sawa, sasa wacha tunini, alafu ikifika kotini wafanye balancing
Arun,
zao.
Manago
Wakasema
aliongea jana, leo
812
amewekewa kesi. Aliongea tu jana akasema treasury iko nini, imeshikwa na nini, leo amewekewa kesi.
automatic. Nakwambia zile drama zenye tunaona hii Kenya na wamesahau kuwa bado bei ya mafuta ile 30 shillings 8 months ago bado jamaa anaendelea kupocket daily. Hizo bilioni zote sijui huenda zimefika trillion. So Wakenya wenzangu, only two things ambayo inaweza kuwa economy yetu ya Kenya: agriculture na mambo ya informal sector, because those are the two main ingredients ambazo zinafanya our economy to grow.
Well, don't forget tourism.
Very few individuals so hapo ndio nitaguzia. Back to you Mr. Bernard, ukileta mama wetu Kenya maandamano. Thank you so much.
Okay, asante sana Bwana Harun, nashukuru kwa kuchunga muda na kutoa ukweli kwa ufasaha. Naamini kwamba kila Mkenya anamakinika kwa kuelewa nini kinachoendelea na kipi kinapaswa kufanyika ili kila mmoja apone na nchi yetu ipone. Kama dosari iliingia katika hii nchi mwanzo, itabidi turudi hapo mwanzo tukarekebishe kwanza, tuendelee na safari. Miaka 60 ndio hiyo inakatika, bado tunaendelea kuficha zile dosari tulianza nazo katika kuweka msingi wa nchi hii, na katika hiyo hali ya kuwa wanafiki na kuendelea kufikiria kwamba muda utaponya yale ambayo tuliyatekeleza pale mwanzo, tunaendelea kudhoofika na tunaendelea kuhangaika kama nchi. Kile kinachoendelea, hizo vita za Nandi na nini zote mnajua kule zinatokana ni treasury. Magunia za hela zinabebwa na wengine wanafikiria pia sisi tulikampenia hii serikali, mbona nyinyi mnakula sana kuliko sisi? So ni mzozo wa magunia na wanaobeba. Cha muhimu hapa, wakati mama anaingia, nataka naye achangie kabla tufungashe. Nataka tukuonyesha vile tunafanya vizuri kama nchi. Sikiliza tu huyu mtu.
We are doing well as a country. KenGen CEO Abraham Serem, Kenya Power CEO Joseph Siror, Kenya Pipeline CEO Joe Sang, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Agency CEO Daniel Kipto, Ketraco Company Secretary Lydia Sitienei, Kenya Ports Authority CEO William Ruto, Kemri CEO Elijah Songok, Kenya Cooperative Creameries CEO Nixon Sigei, NSSF CEO David Koros, National Cereals and Produce Board CEO John Ngetich, Agriculture and Food Authority Chair Corneli Serem, Kenya Seed Company CEO Sami Kiplagat, Nyayo Tea Zone CEO Peter Korir, Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization CEO Eliud K. Kireger, Kenya Meat Commission Chair Joseph Kipto, Kenya Dairy Board CEO Margaret Kibogi, Kenya Animals Genetics Resource Center CEO David Kios, Export Processing Zone EPZ Chair Mr. Richard Cheriot, Kenya National Accreditation Services CEO Martin Chesire, Special Economic Zones Authority CEO Kenneth Chelule, Insurance Regulatory Authority CEO Godfrey Kiptum, Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation CEO Helen Chepchumba Chepkwoni, Privatization Commission CEO Joseph Koskei, Director General of Migration Evelyn Cheluget, Kenya Space Agency CEO Hilary Kipkosgei. Kenya Post Office Savings Bank Chair Sarah Serem. Kenya Water Towers Agency CEO Julius Tanui. Kenya Forestry Research Institute KEFRI CEO Joshua Cheboyo. Tourism Regulatory Authority CEO Norbert Talam. North Rift Valley Waterworks Development Agency CEO Edwin Cheriot Rotich. National Employment Authority Chair Vincent Kigen. Kenya Pipeline Chair Faith Boynet. Comments. And many more now share the list of the CEOs. Chuki na wewe itakumaliza. Mo is back indeed. Yamune Nation. It's their time round too. Let them eat. Where Moi failed them. Hasara tawara. Tumepangwa serikali ni yetu wakale. Hey, so what? You own 3 regimes. Kenyatta 15. I'm surprised to realize Kenya has a space agency. Oh, thumbs up for Prezo and his team. Let's now look at the Kikuyu vlog plus Embu and Meru. Then we compare. Otherwise, hongera kwa waliopiga hii serikali kura. Ni tamu tena zaidi. Webie Betty. Still watching from Kampala. ZJ Everlast. He has grabbed Kenya by the balls for sure. Jacob Odiko. Francis Gaitho, how will you know that power is no longer in the mountain? It is time for Kalenjins as community to enjoy and benefit fully from the government, and this will be the trade for the next 9 years or even beyond.
Go. We can't continue voting in the IBC. Let it go. We can't continue voting for you, Baba, you win, and they steal. Let them go. We don't want IBC. Wangapi wanasema wanataka IBC? What a shit is it? IBC, let it go. Baba, you removed Moi. If you removed Moi by Blolongo, let us remove Ruto. Yes. Who is Ruto? He's killing. How can even God award him? He is a killer. He's somebody who doesn't want people. He is corrupt. Look at, and Baba, let me tell you, it is empathetic. That is Sodom and Gomorrah. You see, I don't want to mention, that is Sodom, and better us even when we are drinking. Them now they are sleeping with one another. Ask Miliodium. I'm happy Maina Njenga is here. Baba, when you unite with Maina Njenga, stand up. Rachel, stand up. The comrades, stand up. This is Jeshia Baba. I want Maina Njenga to come to Kisumu so that Gachagua can know we are ready. With Maina Njenga, ongea kwanza.
Bernard, please allow me because I need to get home. Niko kwa highway, please.
Wendo umefukuza mama?
Hapana, mama atakuja. Mama kwa haizi fukuzwa na mimi. Mama is always here. Ni venye tu let me
Weekly we are closing. Thank you.
Okay, two. Bernard, we have 2 Kenyas. And people need to understand that. And that goes back to your question, your topic. I mean your question ulikomuuliza. We have 2 Kenyas. And unless we understand which 2 Kenyas we have, we are not going anywhere. We'll keep on jumping round and round. And to finish with that, I will go back to, I know a lot of people in this channel don't like me talking about Kalonzo Musyoka, but I'll go back to something Kalonzo Musyoka said as a leader of Kenya, not as Mkamba. Your name, you remember that topic? Hiyo kitu alisemanga, your name betrays you. We are coming to that point where your name now is being made real. What Kalonzo had said that time, your name betrays you. Because like even that hiyo kitu yenye umesoma, Bernard, is the same thing that we're talking about. Is where we got it wrong in our social fabric, in our geopolitical fabric, straight from independence. For those who people wale wamesoma civic education, watu wamesoma what happened. So Bernard, that's all I have for today. Kama utakuwa umefunga nikifika kule naenda, maybe I might come in and maybe continue or something. But kesho I'll be here to help you out. Asante Bernard for what you do for us. Asante sana kukua hapa every time. I understand kama utakuwa umefunga, but maybe I might come and start another one to changamshane, because Kenyans are tired and they can tell you. Umeona hapo hiyo video ya mwisho umetutumia. Kenyans, even the leaders are tired. Tumechoka. Kama umana tutanuka na tutaharibika na tunaweza nuka. Kama tulinukia mkoloni, ni kina nani? Wasugoi si mbali. Asante.
Okay, thank you. Clear, precise, and to the point. We go straight to Mama Arun. Shikilia hapo hapo.
Ni kadaka kamoja tu baba, kamoja tu. Siendi basi kwa ile majina yenye umeguza, wacha ni washtue. Kuna hii mambo ya equalization fund ambayo juzi nimeona pesa zimetoka. Turkana wa receive 1.2 billion, West Pokot 1 billion, Narok 812 million, Mandera 793 million, Wajir 768 million, Samburu 683 million, Garissa 663 million, Baringo 626 million, Mount Kenya Laikipia 126 million, Meru 31 million, Muranga 6 million, Nakuru 6 million, Tharaka Nithi for 6 million. Alafu sasa vijana wakati wanauliza wabunge wao nini mnatuletea, wanaitwa lile jina. Back to you, Mr. Bernard.
This is an endless topic. We'll be looking at it since we are in the Independent Week, so it's not ending today. We'll look at Kenya at 60 until Jamhuri Day. So we have like 3 days to look at the same subject. So don't worry if you don't get a time to speak now. You will speak again on it. We want to, by the time we launch into the 61st year of Kenya, we are new, different people thinking differently in the aid of helping this country become better. Thank you. Mama, karibu sana.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Harun. Na huyu mwingine anaitwa sijui. Well,
anaitwa Olara.
Olara. Haionekani vizuri on the phone. Letters are very tiny. So Kenyans, nawasalimia. Bernard, asante for your good work. Wananchi wa Kenya, mnasikia kile kinaendelea, umejua kinachotuuma, na uongozi ule tuko nao ni wa machachari, wa watu ambao hawajali maisha yenu hata kidogo. Sasa mimi nauliza swali moja. What is the work of the military in a country? And I wonder whether I'm wrong to say that I think they are supposed also to act on some things that are really hurting the wananchi, because the security that they hold is for the wananchi. I don't know whether I'm wrong to say that these people, it's like they are dormant. It's like they don't see what is going on. And I wonder whether they have their siblings or their mothers, parents, they have other relatives, that they see what is going on in the country. What is going on? Vile tu, sijui nani amesema hapo, sijui ni Harun ama ni nani amesema Kenya iwe overhaul. That is exactly what should happen, overhaul. Because all who are there, actually, hata wale unasikia hawaongei, ati wamenyamaza. Hawajanyamaza ati kwa sababu wanawatetea, wamenyamaza kwa sababu wanakula, kwa sababu hataki kuharibu unga yao. So they mind about their own self, just the way they live, just the way they are getting their salary. But there is one thing I don't understand. These human beings, where are they getting this money for salary? Do they consider us tukufe ndio wao wakule? That is my question. Sisi tukufe, wao wakule. How on earth? My life cannot be exchanged to somebody who is just idle there, talking not on my behalf, not even helping me out as I elected him to stand with my problems. But now they don't want to do that. Since they are getting their salaries, they don't care. They are off on their way. Ruto hivyo anahamisha watu. Remember, hajali kama mnaenda kukufa. Huyu Bill Gates, yellow teeth. Huyo mtu amepanga mambo ambayo ni ya kupunguza. Maybe you never know, the Kenyans that are being put in the plane, taken out of country, ferried all the way to another country whereby they cannot walk back home. Ebu niambie, uende huko hata uambiwe hutalipwa, hata upewe chakula ya tumbo. Who are you? You are already a slave. You are going to suffer for nothing. Hizo pesa mnaambiliwa huko, ni nini hamjaona na huyu mtu? Amewaambilia, how many promises has he given you? Who knows whether you are being ferried there just not to come back? Anapunguza population ya Kenya. Sababu hii mambo yote, ukikaa chini uchukue kalamu uandike how many people he has said that they are going to Germany, they are going to Canada, they are going to India, they are going to Israel, they are going each and every country. Ebu hesabu uone ni watu wangapi watakuwa wamehamishwa. That is how Kenya is going to be completely destroyed, ibaki kama desert. Nyinyi wa Kenya mnakubali kuwa mnachukuliwa muende huko kufanya nini? Who told you that it's a true thing that is going to happen to you? Ni pesa ngapi hizo mnaambiliwa? Kwani nchi yetu, kwa nini wasitoe hizo pesa? Zile ambazo sisi tunafanyia kazi, tunakatwa taxes, zisaidie watu wetu. Kwa nini wasifungue hii mafactory vile alikuwa anafukuza investors? Afungue hizo stores, watu waingie huko wafanye kazi. Why take them out of the country? Are we overpopulated in Kenya? And if we are overpopulated, who has gone to the government office na bakuli akiomba chakula? We take care of ourselves and we know how we do our things. Hii mambo ambayo tumeteswa, tumemaliziwa kila kitu kwa Kenya, ndio tuanze sasa kufikiria ile anatoa ati ni a good idea, taking people out of the country. He has that pre-arranged. Hiyo ni mambo amepanga. Vile tu anasema tumetenga, tumepanga, that is what exactly he is doing. Hizi pesa zote ambazo wameokota kutoka nchi za nje, ni nini haziwezi kufanya nchi ya Kenya watu waendelee kufanya kazi kwao nyumbani? Why are you being lied and then you decide that utabebwa na ndege? Imagine that distance. Imagine the distance where you'll be taken. Where are you going to get the money to come back if only you get frustrated? Mtakuwa stressed, depressed, na hamuna mtu wenu ako karibu hapo. Nani atakusaidia? Mumeambiwa mambo mingi na huyu mtu amewadanganya. Why are you getting into it? That is my question. Na mimi nauliza military ya kwetu, are they sleeping? What is the security they are holding? Wana hold security ya nani? Kama watu wote watatolewa nchi ya Kenya wapelekwe nje, ni security ya nini wana hold? Who are they guarding? Nothing. They ought to come out and say sasa tutangadi akina nani? Because the security that they hold is for wananchi wa Kenya. It's not about them or other countries. It's about the Kenya. Ni Kenya gani sasa wanaangalia? Watu wakibebwa wote kupelekwa nje. What are you guarding? All these lots of military. That is my worry and that is my question. Mimi nitafikisha hapo, Bernard. I know time is over. And my worry is Kenyans. You know, this guy has lied with so many lies, and yet you are falling trapped on these promises. Ati mtaenda kufanya kazi. Wananchi wa Kenya, wacheni kukubali hii miigizo. Hii ni mambo mbaya. Israel has a war. Nyinyi mshapigana kwa war. Mnapelekwa huko mkafanye, mkaokote ile takataka ya pahali kumeharibiwa, ama mnapelekwa mkafanye nini? Those people have never asked for labor, but they have been doing their own stuff. Why this time? Mjihadhari tafadhali wa Kenya. Tunawapenda, hatutaki muumie. Tunataka muishi nchi yetu mkiwa na furaha. Na wazazi wenu na watoto wenu waishi kwa furaha, kwa sababu wanaona baba zao, wanaona mama zao. Asante Bernard. Thank you so much.
Okay, asante sana mami, tunashukuru, ujumbe umefika wazi na kila Mkenya mwenye ufahamu sasa unafahamu. Jukumu kubwa la serikali ni kutengeneza mazingira yanayofaa ili wafanyabiashara wafanye biashara, wawekezaji wafanye uwekezaji, nchi iwe na uwezo wa kuajiri watu wao. Mimi sielewi Zakayo alisoma katiba ipi na human rights gani, kwa sababu amejitolea kuwa sasa agent. Wale unaona wale agent wa kuandikisha watu kwenda Saudi Arabia, kwenda wherever, Qatar and all that. He's running a state house like those agents for getting people out of this country. It is a shame that the person in charge of the country is leading the campaign to take the laborers to another country so that he can be exonerated from being held responsible for failing to create jobs for the young people. This, in my opinion, is enough reason to get rid of William Ruto. It's enough reason to get rid of William Ruto. He doesn't know what he's doing, and if he knows what he's doing, he does not respect Kenyans. He takes Kenyans for fools, and that's what we need to let him know. We are not fools. I've never seen anywhere in the world somebody charged with the responsibility to lead an organization or lead a firm, and his interest is in exporting people to other firms. You are appointed as a head of General Motors, and you're busy wherever poaching the workers of General Motors to take them to go and work elsewhere. And you are the CEO. How is that possible? So what we are dealing with here is somebody who has a mission, and the mission is to make this country, like Okiya Mtata, the senator of Busia, put it, a client state where we rely on the outsiders for everything, from toothpick to matchbox to salt to everything we produce. He wants even the products we produce to be bought by foreigners, so that the China will be using salt made in China, toothpick bought made in China, and everything made in China. This, in my opinion, is enough grounds to get rid of William Ruto. And so Kenyans of goodwill, let's rally together. Let's resist the evil that has been unleashed against this great country. And with that, I want us to end with this video, even as I expect the other colleagues of mine to come in later and be able to run the show from where we have left. I encourage us, make sure you're a subscriber and you participate into our shows fully. Let's listen out to this and then, of course, advise ourselves.
Kenya at a crossroads, assessing the signs of a nation on the brink of collapse. As the world ushers in the Christmas season with joy and celebration, the atmosphere in Kenya seems to carry a somber note. Beneath the festive lights and the traditional sounds of carols, there looms a pressing concern: the potential descent of Kenya into the ranks of failed states. This article aims to critically analyze the attributes that signal a nation in crisis week: governance, collapsed public services, pervasive corruption, a struggling economy, and rising crime rates. It is imperative to address these issues through a biblical lens, recognizing the need for accountability, justice, and a return to values that align with the principles found in the Holy Scriptures. Kenya's position on the Fragile States Index. The Fragile States Index 2016, compiled by a United States think tank, has raised alarms by categorizing Kenya as a failed state. Positioned at 20 out of 178, Kenya stands merely 16 points away from Somalia, a country marred by prolonged conflict and instability. It is essential to examine the indicators that contribute to this classification and explore potential reasons why Kenya could be teetering on the brink of failure. Corruption, a cancer eating at the nation's core. Rampant corruption has been identified as a cancer eating away at the fabric of Kenyan society. The biblical perspective on corruption is unequivocal. Proverbs 15 verse 27 states, "The greedy bring ruin to their households, but the one who hates bribes will live." Kenya's struggle with corruption undermines public trust, erodes the effectiveness of public services, and perpetuates inequality, weak governance, and political stagnation. A critical element of a failed state is a weak and dysfunctional central government. In Kenya, concerns about governance have been growing, with citizens expressing frustration at what they perceive as a lack of accountability and transparency. The political landscape is marred by a sense of stagnation, where promises of development and progress seem to echo without substantial implementation. Economic struggles and unmet promises. The non-performing economy is another alarming signal. While government proponents trumpet achievements such as the standard gauge railway (SGR) and infrastructure development, the reality on the ground paints a different picture. The gap between the rich and the poor widens, and economic struggles persist, leaving many Kenyans disillusioned. Security concerns and rising crime. A failed state is characterized by rising incidents of crime and a compromised security apparatus. Recent reports of police killings and inadequate responses to security threats in regions such as Baringo and Turkana point to a leaky security system. The Bible underscores the importance of justice and security in maintaining societal order, as seen in Proverbs 21 verse 15, "When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous but terror to evildoers." The call for biblical principles in leadership. In times of crisis, it becomes crucial to turn to biblical principles for guidance and redemption. Leaders are called to be servants of the people, seeking justice, promoting righteousness, and fostering an environment where the well-being of the citizens is prioritized. The Bible warns against leaders who lose sight of their responsibilities, as seen in Isaiah 1 verse 23. "Your rulers are rebels, partners with thieves. They all love bribes and chase after gifts." Practical steps towards national restoration. 1. Accountability and transparency. Leaders must embrace accountability and transparency as foundational principles. Proverbs 11 verse 3 reminds us, "The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity." Openness in governance and a commitment to eradicate corruption are essential for national restoration. 2. Justice and fairness. The pursuit of justice and fairness is paramount. Micah 6 verse 8 exhorts, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God." Leaders must uphold justice, address economic disparities, and ensure the well-being of all citizens. Practical steps towards national restoration. 3. National unity and reconciliation. Divisive politics and ethnic tensions must be replaced with a commitment to national unity and reconciliation. Psalm 133 verse 1 emphasizes the beauty of unity, stating, "How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity." 4. Economic empowerment and social welfare. Genuine economic development should prioritize the empowerment of the marginalized and the enhancement of social welfare. Proverbs 14 verse 31 advocates for concern for the needy, stating, "Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker." but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. Practical steps towards national restoration. 5. Investment in security and public services. A secure nation is a prosperous nation. Leaders must prioritize the investment in security infrastructure and public services to ensure the well-being and safety of all citizens. Conclusion. As Kenya stands at a crossroads, the need for introspection, repentance, and a return to biblical principles cannot be overstated. The signs of a nation on the brink of failure are evident, but the path to restoration is paved with humility, accountability, and a commitment to justice. The citizens of Kenya, as well as its leaders, must unite in a collective effort to address the root causes of the nation's challenges and strive for a future guided by biblical principles and values. In doing so, Kenya can transcend the current crises and embark on a journey of true national renewal. Thank you for watching Sound Candid Talk. Kindly subscribe, like, comment, and share the video with everyone in your life. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. This is Bernards of Sound Candid Talk. God bless you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are calling it a day there. That is giving you the verdict of our question. Would Kenya have done better under Jaramogi Oginga Odinga than Jomo Kenyatta? 9 votes on Sound Country Talk Live, and all the 9 votes are 100% yes. Let's check on the other side, which is Sound Country Talk. So far, we have 105 votes with 68 likes on the video. That means some people are not following instructions at all. But all in all, 107 votes. And of the 107 votes, and would the Kenya have done better under Jaramogi Oginga Odinga than Jomo Kenyatta? Well, 83% say yes, and 17% say no. Thank you so much for being part and parcel of this great conversation. I would want to, unless Mama Mandamano, you have something to add quickly?
Bernard, I think that's all I had, though I'm urging Kenyans not to be falling in these traps that Ruto is setting, and for also be serious about your country. Hii mambo yote ya kutolewa nchi yenu mnapelekwa pahali fulani. Kumbukeni history ya slavery vile ilifanyika, and that is how you should relate yourself with it. And this time round is a modern slavery. Unapelekwa ukiambiliwa ati utapewa hizi pesa because they are trying to soothe you so that you can accept. After you cross, you don't know the outcome. Those are the things that you have to weigh and see whether you belong to such kind of a group that will be going out for labor. You are now treated like casual laborers in a foreign country. Be careful. Mimi ni hivyo tu nitasema, Bernard, nikiwalilia wa Kenya, hatutaki kutengana, tunataka kuishi nchi yetu tukiwa pamoja. Na ile tutapata hiyo nchi yetu, honestly, we do the overhaul and build our country. We live forever. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you. Panolara, 30 seconds. Okay, it appears Olara is not here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we call it a day. Thank you so much for being part and parcel of this great conversation. Travel with Fred, anasema mimi siende Israel, please. Sawa, Angela Homboy, asante sana. Jeffrey Onyapidi, asante sana kwa kujumuika nasi katika kipindi cha leo. Nashukuru Elizabeth Anyango, asante sana. Kuna John Dida, asante sana. Of course, Matuma candidates, we salute all of you. Thank you so much for always being here. Please, let's keep the message going. Even after we close, share the video with anybody who can profit from the conversation Kenyans are having right here. We believe through this conversation will be part and parcel of what will make Kenya great. And of course, we are going to win at the end. Thank you so much. See you at the top. When we get there, we shall all sing the song of victory together. God bless you.
Sound Candy Talk sasa imeboreshwa zaidi. Kila siku ya wiki asubuhi tunapambazuka na maabudu na sifa kwenye kipindi cha Daybreak Worship. Baadaye tunakuletea mahojiano ya moja kwa moja kwenye one-on-one show. Alafu tunakuletea taarifa zinazochipuka siku hiyo zikiwa ange kwenye In the News Headlines. Kisha tunaingia bungeni. Viongozi tuliowachagua tuangalie wanafanya nini bungeni.
On a daily basis, whenever the house is sitting, the order paper is here.
I take any work that I'm given very seriously.
Not have favors. Yes. It's not appointed because you come from Nyeri.
Kisha baadaye usiku tunakutana kwenye Open Forum Political Show, kipindi kinachotadavua na kufafanua makala na taarifa zinazokuhusu zaidi.
Sasa hii ndiye time ya kuweka kila mtu question mark one by one. Ruto tumeshaweka question mark ya kutosa.
Umeenda mpaka watu wenye wako US na manchi zingine.
Kazi ya kiongozi ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba vijana wako kazi.
Tazama Sound Candy Talk uelemike. Tukutane Sound Candy Talk.
You are watching Sound Candy Talk. Watch, share, like, subscribe.